couldn't print that and save my soul, really. Like my computer was like, and then I've got a Mac and that thing just kept.
Oh,
So it kept spinning and it kept thinking I was trying to do Apple TV. I'm not trying to do Apple TV.
This library handles it, but that was your name tag, that's all.
what was that?
Your name, your.
Oh, where'd it go?
It just went right down. So is this so we have an idea of what we have to implement, or
Yes.
have you already implemented?
So, no, we have not, and that's what the update is on. So it has been approved, and we can go over all of that when we have to be in compliance.
That's H, is that what H is?
Yes, yes.
I'm gonna write that. Sorry, my phone. H, 7H.
Ah. Okay.
Your folder should be right there.
Goldie, I didn't say hi to you either when you came in. You were Patty. Hello.
I'll get it.
Where's mine in the corner here with the
I'll
ninja?
pick it up. You can tell her I did it.
There you go. As far as I know, she is. She must be running a few minutes late. I haven't heard. You didn't get no gummy.
No, well, they're not, I can't get those in my town.
Oh, dang it.
I came through Warrensburg. You could have gotten us some.
Hi, Judy.
Judy's here.
She's here.
Hello, Judy.
You want to take minutes if she doesn't show up?
No.
How did I know what you were going to say?
There is a lot. After a while, you get.
Jackie? Yeah. You know why those were marked out?
So I marked it out because that is part of another, it's part of the whole thing, but it's not normally what you guys get.
So it's been repeated 4 other times somewhere else.
Possibly,
Yeah, it's supposed to be marked out.
Okay, that's more the part where it's like the voya, where it balances out. And so I don't normally give you that, I just give you the revenues and the expenditures, okay? But everybody kept saying, well, we don't want the whole thing. So I try to reduce, hopefully the duplications anyway.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Judy.
No.
Hey, Judy, your folder is right behind you there by that blue tote. Yep.
Hi there.
Jackie was trying to recruit someone to take notes.
No, I did not.
No, I think somebody can type over there faster than the rest of them can probably.
Oh, Becky, you type? I didn't say hi to you either. Hello, Becky.
Hello, Becky.
Man, Judy's looking for somebody to take over her minutes.
Well, I would take notes on here so I can search it later and I don't have to be like, where did I
Yeah.
search the word?
Well, yeah,
Go right to it.
well, that's smart, yeah.
Mhm.
See guy, and now that one has to work too. I'm just a widow. No, right.
Can you come into any?
Huh?
Yeah. I'll ask. Yeah.
What's that? I don't know.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. The meeting is called to order. I'd like to welcome our 2 new members, Goldie Edwards and Becky Courier. Do we have any public comments?
Are we gonna do a roll call?
Oh, let's do a roll call. I'm sorry.
All right, Ron McMullen,
Here.
Sandy Henke.
Here.
Harlan Dillon.
Here.
Jane Beal.
Here.
Goldie.
Here.
Goldie Edwards. Patty Long.
Here.
Scotty Walker.
Yep.
Becky Courier. Here. Judy Walter.
I'm here.
And myself.
All right, everyone is here.
Are we still a member short, a board member short?
Should be full, but no.
Okay.
Debbie, do you have a report?
Did you not want to do your?
We'll do a little bit.
Welcome to Concordia Branch. I'm Debbie Kirchhoff. I've been manager here for 20+ years, but it's still an adventure every day, I have to say. I just wanted to tell you about our latest program, which was a surprise to me. Back when I was a kid, we would watch Saturday morning cartoons, and I know kids have Cartoon Network now, but I thought something fun and different with Saturday morning cartoons, because in the programming survey, that was one of the comments, that people would appreciate more Saturday programming. So I just thought, well, I'll start flipping pancakes, and we'll show cartoons and see what happens. And it has been one of the most popular programs that we have ever had. So, and it's not, I mean, some people like the pancakes, some people like the cartoons. The most of the kids, I think they just want a chance to get together and play with different toys. So, I mean, that's part of the reason I love my job. It's new and different and exciting. Nice to tell you. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
I like your jellyfish.
Oh, we love them too. They're from last summer, but we can't part.
They're fun.
Anyone have any questions? All right. I guess I'll welcome our guests tonight and ask if there's any public comments. First off, I will ask, have all the members signed in? I will request that everybody sign in at the meeting tonight.
Yeah, we have to put them in the minute. We have to put them, record them in the minute. We need.
Do we have a sign in?
Yeah, that would be the easiest way. I think Judy has that one.
Maybe what town they're from, that would be nice to know.
Oh,
Yeah, your
yeah.
name and what town you're from. Please introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Judy Steinmuller. I am the branch manager over in Wartburg.
We can't hardly hear you though over here because of the.
The fan, yeah.
Booster, man, like over here.
We should have put an X on the floor. The voice has spoken.
Goodness. I'm Jay Steinmuller. I am the branch manager over in Warrensburg. I started out in 2019 as the branch manager in Holden, and it has been a wonderful experience to work for Trails. It's actually been like a dream. I used to come by the Concordia branch. I grew up in Concordia, and I came by the Concordia branch almost daily whenever I was getting out of school, because my dad worked at Keesman's over here, and this is while this branch was uptown a little bit further. So I would stop in almost every day. And but I'm here tonight on behalf of staff. The staff managers are here. We are just kind of concerned with the term limits that you all are talking about and the possibility that they would go away. I know that, you know, per state statute, 4 years is one term, you know, but, you know, even in like, you know, our local governments, our state governments, and our federal governments, we want term limits for reasons so that people don't stay in these offices forever and a day. We don't know. I mean, right now, if you even look at our federal government right now, we have people who've been in there for 40 years and things don't change. We are just really concerned that if, you know, the same people, it doesn't matter who it is, stays in the offices or stays on the board for, more than their terms and doesn't allow other taxpayers the opportunity to at least apply or to even be on the board, that it could be detrimental to, the library itself. As frontline staff, we do see all the patrons, and anything that comes from the board does trickle down to the patrons. And we have had a lot of comments about what's going on with the board in past years. Since Jackie's been here, it has been wonderful. It is unbelievable the difference between the relationship between the board and the director and Trails since Jackie's been here. Whatever happened in the past needs to stay in the past, but as staff that have suffered from some of those decisions that happened in the past, we are very, very concerned with the term limits that you all are talking about.
So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm curious that you just said that everything's wonderful, but in your comments made to the county commissioners, you said the exact opposite. I would like for you to address that. That's public minutes.
Yeah, everything since Jackie's been here has been wonderful.
May I see that? May I see that?
Staff have been concerned with things that have gone on in the board. There is recordings of you all talking bad about staff. There's reports of you talking bad about,
Are you okay?
You have to take it hard.
You're not gonna make it.
Here we are.
Your comments at the Johnson County Commissioners meeting, Steinkuhler expressed concern that the Trails Regional Board, TRLBOT, is micromanaging the library's operations with specific focus on the director, and the overreach has run off the last two directors. Staff is concerned the current director will leave as a result of the board's actions as well. You just said the exact opposite.
No,
You did.
No, I didn't.
You did. You said, yes, you did. You said.
You said since Jackie's been here, it's been great.
Yeah, and as of right now, with the actions.
That's not what you said to the commission.
Well, it did say in there that with the last two directors, so that would have been before I came.
Yeah, that's.
So
She says that we are that the board is micromanaging the director and that we are being hostile.
Yeah, and right here, it says that it's strife with the director, the work environment is tense.
Is often tense. So that's the opposite of what you just said.
If it wasn't put in there, it was about not when Jackie's here, when Tanya was here, and when Marcel.
It's in the Johnson County Commissioners minutes.
What you said, and you just said the exact opposite.
And my question is this: if you had concerns, which I'm not saying you don't, why didn't you come to the board instead of going to the county commissioners?
If I had a problem with my direct supervisor,
You
I
didn't.
wouldn't. No, this is.
The board was never notified that there was any of these problems. You never said a thing. The director never said a thing.
If you all can't figure out that there's a problem on the board, then you all have not been paying attention to the last 4 years of board meetings and minutes.
I've been here 4
We're not
years.
talking about the last 4
You
years.
said leave
We're
the
talking
past
about
in the
since
past.
Jackie's
The
been
past
here.
was in the past, and some of us were never there.
We're talking about as
Since
long as.
Jackie's been here, we've always been on the edge of our seats, yes, because we don't know what's gonna happen in a board meeting,
Really? Really?
every board meeting.
Can we take a quick poll?
I thought we were all getting along well and working well
Which meeting have
together.
we not told Jackie that we've been,
We're very
Just-
pleased.
which meeting?
Scotty,
Jackie, which meeting?
when Tanya was first here, you told me how much you loved her, and look what happened to her. You
What?
came over to Holden to tell me that.
Yes. And the
you all-
reason.
Did you not sit through any of those
Tanya
board
would not
meetings?
communicate with us? That's why Tanya's gone. Any strike that was on the board is because the director was either, in over their head or would not communicate with us. It was never a board issue. Did board meetings get tense? Yes, because the director would either not communicate with us or lie to us. Jenny, go ahead.
And in her last meeting, she came over to me and gave me a hug and said, "I love what you've done for me." Is that? So what?
That's not something that was witnessed in the board meeting.
It'd be on video.
It was in the minutes. Questions were asked, she never answered them. The board members would try to call her and she would not talk to any of us, period. But like you said, that's in the past and that is gone. That is gone. Maybe some of it was on us, I don't know. But with Jackie, if Jackie has a problem with how the board treats her, why didn't you say something to her?
So let me just speak, because I know Scotty asked, since I have been here, and I even have it, it's in your packet, I have only had supportive and positive interactions with the board since I have been here. However, and I know I spoke with the two of you in my office yesterday about this, there was a reason why I walked away before I took the job. And that was red flags that I saw, not only on staff side, but the board side. And I'm going to be speaking more to the board side because that's kind of what we're discussing here. And there was a reason for that. And there was a lot of red flags. And a lot of it is, you know, what I saw in the videos and in the minutes was the reason why I'm like, I don't want any part of this. I'm glad that it worked out the way it did, you know, but I have not felt that personally. But I will tell you, and I told you ladies this yesterday in my office, when I see an email or a phone call from Scotty, I cringe just because I know how it was in the past. And I'm like, okay, is this when we're starting? Is this going to start now that I'm here? You know, and that's the thought that I have. It creates anxiety. So no, it hasn't been anything that I have experienced personally, but I have seen how the board have treated directors in the past. And like you said, I did see red flags on both sides. Scotty and I talked about those.
I take issue with you saying that I make you uncomfortable. I take issue with that right now. Because, again, I'm going to poll the board. When have I ever said anything to be disruptive, unsupportive? Show of hands.
Scotty, I'm talking about before I came. The things that I saw on the video.
You just got to saying every time I call, you cringe.
Not from anything that I have personally experienced,
If
because
I
know how you have acted in the past.
I have not acted at all.
All you have to do is watch the videos in the minutes. Why do you think I walked away from the job in the first place? You and I had 2 conversations about this.
And nothing that ever happened in this board meeting, in any of our board meetings, was a result of anything other than a director not communicating with us or lying to us.
Well, and you and I talked about several red flags that I saw that did not necessarily have to do with the director.
I don't know if this is proper to be talking about, not an executive session.
All right. Nonetheless, you've said 2 different things, so you have anything else?
I disagree with that. I think she said exactly the same thing.
Have you
When
read?
I hear that, what she
read
read, what he read is what she said, in different words and in a different way, but it's just
She says that Trails Regional Board is micromanaging the library's operations with specific focus on the director. And that overreach has ran off the last 2 directors. Staff is concerned the current director will leave. How has the board treated Jackie in any way to make you think she's going to leave? Have you said you're going to leave?
If things ever were like they were before I came and with the red flags, yeah, I would have to make sure that my mental health came first. My health and my mental health would come first. And that was stressful. You know, I went through it. But I've seen the videos and I've read the minutes. And that's why I initially was like, I don't want any part of this. I have not had that experience.
I felt like the board has treated you fairly. I felt like we have treated you with.
You have, and nobody has said that you haven't.
She has.
She just did.
To the county commissioners.
She said it to the county commissioners on April 13th. We have it documented.
And is this word for word, or was this minutes?
This is the minutes the county commission sent.
From Diane.
But that's what I'm saying. Is it verbatim, or is it a summary?
I don't know.
Because what she's saying is what she told them was that it was before I came, and they're concerned that that could potentially happen again.
Mr. Kavanaugh, I see you're back there.
Yes, sir.
You can address, does the county clerk just make up minutes, or does she write them down verbatim?
It is not verbatim. We do not record the system and type down word for word.
Well, Mr. Commissioner, how was it presented to the commissioners then, how the board reacted to the director?
He needs to come up here so he can be.
You'll need to come up front, please.
He's a big talker though.
Hmm?
He's a big talker.
That's okay.
Well, we wanna make sure.
He
that,
also doesn't have term limits.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
They're off when a very short period of
I
time.
got 25,000 people that says I have a term limit.
And as long as you have an R behind your name, you got that job for as long as you want it. Go ahead.
That's not what we're
I don't
debating.
think that has
Anyway,
anything
what-
to do with.
This
what
is,
we
this is your problem, and the lady said what she said,
And it's recorded in the minutes what she said.
and she also said that she was talking to prior to, not Jackie now.
Okay, wait, just a minute, Mr. Commissioner.
I didn't come here to speak or answer your questions. I
Okay,
just came to listen.
I'll address you in your meeting, in your,
Okay,
okay?
that's
Thank you.
fine.
Are there any other public comments?
We're still in the audience.
My name is Kendra Redden, and I am the branch manager at the Odessa branch. I just want to start off by saying, having been a board member myself, I want to thank you for being board members. I know how much time and commitment it takes to be a board member. And when I say I was a board member, I don't mean like on our little Odessa rodeo board committee or anything like that. I was a board member and the board president of the sheltered workshop for numerous years. I know that your decisions are hard. I know that it's a lot of time committed. I know because in 1 year of being president, I put in 200 hours there on top of working my 40-hour job. So I know, and I want to say thank you. But I also want to start with saying there came a point where I had to decide what was best for not only the board, but the people that I was there for, which were the staff and the employees, which are the mentally challenged. And I had to decide if I could actually do good for them, both of those people, not just one, but both of them. And for the business, because it's a business, they have to make money. It may be not for profit, but they have to make money. Was I the best person to be on that board? And I realized with the time commitment that they needed from me and with my new position, that I wasn't best for them. So I stepped aside and said, I hope that you can find somebody else that can do better than I can. It did not mean that just because I'm not on that board, I am not an advocate for that sheltered workshop or for the mentally disabled. Just because you're not on a board doesn't mean that you can't be one of the biggest advocates that an organization can have. There's so much more. Yes, being on a board is wonderful and it is a huge commitment, and thank you. But also try to make sure that you're thinking beyond the board. Think about what you can do as an advocate once you're not on the board. Do you know that a congressman, a representative, a senator is going to be more likely to listen to you as one of their taxpayers and their voters than as you are a board member on a library board about libraries? Because they know that when you're on the library board, that's what you're supposed to be doing, is advocating for libraries. Right now, in the Senate, we have the opportunity to voice what we should be voicing for libraries, which is don't defund us. But yet, here we are as this board, and as the staff, having to worry about this, instead of fighting for what we should be fighting for. And I really hope that you guys take what I'm saying to heart. Because I do appreciate you as a board member. But I also appreciate you as an advocate for my job, for my community, for my children, for my grandchildren, and advocating that we have libraries in the future in Missouri. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
What makes you think we haven't done that?
I think you have. I think being on the board tells me that you're an advocate. But I think you have more of a voice, even more of a voice, not being on the board. I know that because I have more of a voice for the advocacy for the sheltered workshop than I ever did on the board. And trust me, we dealt with state entities, DESE, OSHA, all of it. And I have more power off of the board being their advocate. And I do.
When I write my letters, I just sign my name and where I'm at, so that they can see what district I belong in.
Exactly. But do you know they can go to our library webpage and see that you're a board member?
Do you think they have that time to do that?
I think they do. I guarantee you, Terry Thompson will probably know who our board members are because he knows me by name at our library.
After our
Barbara.
last meeting, the first thing I did when I got up the next morning, is I personally wrote all my people.
Perfect.
It was
Thank you.
It was 2 weeks later before we got the petition from our director to send the petition. And I did it immediately the next day because it's
And I
important.
appreciate that. Thank you. It is important.
It didn't make any difference if I was on the board or what I was on. I would have done that when I found out about it.
And that's perfect. But you still have more of a voice.
And when we go,
That is your opinion.
It is my opinion. It's my experience.
Well, we also have opinions in it.
Yes, absolutely.
we go to visit our congressmen annually. And when we're there, we get up on their desk and jump on, no.
Yes, ma'am, I was there this year too.
But we do, we fight for them when they see
I
our
know.
face, 'cause actually what we say in our face.
The fact that you are on the board tells me that you're advocates for the library.
I'm just going to say, the reason that this was proposed is because in June, Judy, been on the board for 12 years, me been on board for 8 years, Ron been on board for 8 years, we all leave. The only experienced board members left are Carlin and Judy comes off a year from now. That leaves a total of 8 relatively new board members. We were proposing to keep the continuity, to keep consistency and continuity. We're not trying to take over this board. We're not trying to be arrogant. You know what? I was ready to leave until we had 2 resignations.
We all were, we
We all
were
were.
counting down
Yeah.
the days.
Until we had 2 more resignations, and I realized that we're going to have an entirely new board, and that is not a good thing. There's a reason.
Deserve to be staggered.
There's a reason why senators.
We, on the board that I was on,
Mhm.
we had similar problems. I actually stepped up and was the board president of that board only 3 years after I'd been on the board.
3 years, so that's not like
3 years.
brand new.
Yeah. Now, I will say this, 1 year I was in a cast with a broken ankle, so I wasn't able to attend any of them. So technically I was on for 3 years, I was only active for 2. I stepped up because we had resignations. We were down half of our board. We still did it. We made it through times that we were in the red, came out, and they are prospering.
Okay.
So it can be done.
All right.
It can be done.
I'd like to say that I'm kind of insulted that you think that the rest of us don't have any experience solving problems, making decisions, doing things. We have not been a board member very long, but we've lived a long time. We've had jobs, we've had children, we've done things. We have the ability to look at something and come up with a solution.
Well, I sure.
That's insulting to
I
me.
sure hope so. I sure hope you do. Because libraries are in trouble, folks. They're in trouble.
Hello, my name is Barbara Sider. I'm the branch manager in Lexington. And I didn't realize you had minutes from the commission meeting, but the first thing Mr. McMullen said to me as he walked up is, you want to tell him what you said, Ron?
I just said you were there to get rid of me.
You were there to get rid of me, weren't you?
But you went to the wrong county because he's not in Johnson County.
That's exactly right. And you know why? Because I wasn't trying to get rid of him.
Well,
I went to the commission to say, I just firmly believe in term limits. Whether it's this board, whether it's judges, any elected official. I'm not picking sides, I'm not choosing, that's all I stated. So I hope that's in your minutes, and I hope that answers your question, Mr. McMullen. Thank you. Do you have any questions for me?
Hello, my name is Noel Postlewaite. I started at the Odessa branch in August, so I have no idea what happened 8 years ago. But I do want to say that throughout the course of history, from the entire, the beginning of the human race in society, nothing good has ever happened from the people in power making rules so that they can stay in power. And that is all that I have to say. Are we good? Okay, cool. I told you that we weren't. I'm just saying that the idea of removing term limits is on the table, and I don't think that's a good idea. And that is all that I am saying.
But you don't know how we're gonna vote tonight.
I don't. I am just making my voice heard because that is the purpose of these meetings,
So
to
I'm
give people
curious.
opportunity to talk.
I'm curious, is this a topic that gets discussed in branch libraries?
Evidently.
It must be.
No, that's my
Because
personal.
I can't, hold on, I don't even go into my library anymore because I'm scared to death that my branch employees will get in trouble, and they have gotten in trouble because it was perceived that they were talking to me. That's the silliest rule I've ever heard of, that an employee can't talk to a board member.
We're here for them.
But I do know for a fact that my branch employees have gotten in trouble because it was perceived that they were talking to me. So I don't even go into the library. I send somebody else to pick up my materials. And I don't think it's appropriate. We don't even allow the staff to handle book sales, but yet staff can sit around and talk about board business. That's just wrong.
Scotty, I'm, again, Barbara Sider for the record. No, we don't sit. We watch the board meetings. They're public on YouTube. I watched the board meetings, so I knew that this was coming to the table. That's why I simply voted, or not voted, but spoke my own personal feelings. And it, like I said, it wasn't directed at anybody or anything. That's my own personal opinion. And no, I don't discuss it at the library. I watch the board meeting.
I have a question.
I have a question.
Yes.
When do you watch it? Do you watch it when it's going on, or do you watch it the next day at work?
No, I don't watch it at work. I watch it at home, or sometimes I watch it when it's happening.
The current.
Yes.
Current. Well, I was gonna say, I don't know the,
I've made comments on there.
I guess we would have record of that. Do they sign in? Do we have a record of who signs in?
You don't have to sign in.
On YouTube, you don't have to.
On YouTube, okay.
But I think to leave a comment.
But I have a question.
Yes.
The board, what has gave you the impression that the board cannot make a logical, legal decision?
I didn't say they couldn't. Well, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
I'm just saying, you guys, employees went to the county commissioners and talked to the commissioners as if the board is not able to make a decision even about appointing a board member to the board.
I think we're about to find that out.
About to find what out?
That if you can make a decision on whether you.
We didn't have all the information yet. And you went to the county commissioners about something that hasn't even happened yet.
You're right. It was proposed, though, at the last meeting.
So you didn't even give us the chance to make our decision, our informed, capable decision.
We will see tonight then. I was just expressing my personal opinion from what I heard from the board meeting. It's of record. It's on YouTube. It was at a meeting.
Yeah.
I'm part of the public.
And you went to the county commissioners, you portrayed yourselves as Trails Regional Library employees. It's in the minutes.
You're correct.
You brought a petition with other people.
I did not bring the petition. I walked in.
Someone in your group then did.
Yes.
And I just don't understand what the board has done at any point in time that you didn't think we could make an informed, capable decision.
Well, there seems to be.
But you have tied our hands now. You've tied our hands now. Any decision we would have came to has already been decided.
No, you guys get to vote.
No, we don't. Because you went to the commissioners.
Because you went to the commissioner.
What we do tonight is a moot point because our hands are tied.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Did you
Carl.
watch? When
They
you saw
went
that we
to the
had 9
commissioner.
We understand,
applicants,
but they had every right
never
to go
had
to
that
the
many.
They
because
not
we had
representing the Trails Regional.
One person at a time.
We had 9 applicants. That's the first time ever, probably, in 100 years, maybe. I don't know. And because we had so many, you can read a lot about people on paper, but it is so much better to personally see the expressions of their face, talk to them, whatever. And every one of them we had was good. And so we decided to interview them. There was no other way. When you get 9 applications, you know, that's what school boards do. I come from a school situation, and school boards interview lots of candidates sometimes because they can't tell what those administrators or teachers are going to be like when they send them in a classroom. They don't want to just hire them off that piece of paper. And so therefore we're trying to find a good fit, which we thought we did, but like I said, every one of them was good. And most of those people are so busy that I'm not sure I could figure out why they even decided that they would have time to squeeze something else in. They were all so good.
But again, we always ask the busy person to do something because they're the ones that will.
They're the ones that do it. That's exactly right. So I just want to say we did have some very good ones. We tried to do it the right way. And now we're kind of getting kicked in the butt for.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You went to the Johnson County Commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
Have you gone to the Lafayette County Commissioner too?
No.
No, I didn't think you had.
That's a silly question, Ron. Johnson County thinks they control the whole thing.
Huh?
That's a silly question. Johnson County thinks they control the whole thing.
Well, but we're from
I know.
Lafayette
I
County.
agree. I know.
Lafayette
But
County
Johnson County
Commissioner
thinks they
wanted to
control the whole thing.
May I make a suggestion? May we move on and get the rest of the comments, and then we can
Yeah.
let these poor gentlemen go. They don't want to hear all the bitching and
Yeah, we
complaining.
need to get moving on.
Any other comments?
We had some
Are there
online.
online comments? May I interrupt for Okay, I have a question. Okay, I want to see that text.
I would like to say I have the March,
Hold on.
the March agenda is here, the bookmobile is not on the agenda.
It was mentioned.
Oh, yeah,
It was mentioned.
I was the one who mentioned it. But it's not on the agenda.
Okay, so here we go. We're going back to, oh, Scotty did not say we're not going to have a bookmobile. That was this group, this board. The RFID project, we were lied to. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
You're right.
Okay. This board did not want a $200,000 or $600,000 bookmobile. This board, she keeps saying, Scotty, this board.
Should I address that?
Yes, please. Agree with you.
This is for the bookmobile only.
Cheryl, will you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Cheryl McMullen. I'm a retired teacher. I have library certification. I taught for 30+ years and I'm still subbing. So I subbed today, I subbed yesterday. Hope your meeting doesn't go too late tonight because I got a sub tomorrow and I have a challenge tomorrow. The bookmobile, it was not just the board. The foundation was approached because I was a member of the foundation at that time. We were approached, we were told it was a bookmobile and when we got into looking at it, we were asked for money before the board was even had the opportunity to discuss it. So we turned down money because we did not get the full picture of what this bookmobile actually was. Because at our foundation meeting, we were asking about transporting books and various things, and we were told that it was not really a bookmobile like what we were thinking was a bookmobile. It was more a technology that would move hotspots around the area. So I just wanted to make clear that it just wasn't this board that was approached about funds with the previous director, came to us, and we said we did not want to invest foundation money into something that was that expensive. Several reasons. One was we didn't have a lot of foundation money to put into place. And two, we didn't have enough information presented except the fact that it was a bookmobile, and that's all we were told. I don't know whether some of the other members happened to be at that meeting or not, but as I said, this was a previous director, but I just want you to know that there was more than just the board that was not supportive of that based on the information that we were provided when we were asked to vote.
Thank you.
And we had already done away with the previous bookmobile because of failure to use it, and it was too expensive.
Would you like me to move on to the next comment, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
These are all written so they can be included in the minutes, correct?
These are all written. I'm not sure on how the minutes work, sir. That's not something I'm appraised of.
This is something that we can read as a board to make sure that there's no paraphrasing going on.
Like I said, you can come and read these yourself if you'd like to, sir. I'm just doing what I was instructed to do.
I'm just asking, are they all in written format that the board can see them if we desire?
I believe I've answered that, sir. Would you like me to say yes again?
Go ahead.
All right. Next, I have Emily Constant here from Warrensburg. Hello, my name is Emily, and I am a wife, mother, educator, and community member. I'm concerned about changing of the bylaws to change term limits. Term limits on boards are in place for a variety of reasons, including providing opportunities for the board and library organizations to work with talented community members, making it easier to diversify the board, which brings new ideas and new perspectives to its decision-making process, enabling you to provide the perpetual concentration of power within a small group of people and limitation of new members by this dominant group, providing a respectful and efficient mechanism for the exit of passive, ineffective, or troublesome board members, enabling the board to easily adjust its membership to reflect the organization's changing needs. It is time for new board members. Our communities need a board that will have the library's best interest at heart and not the interest of one or two communities. We need board members that are willing to change with the times, be innovative, do not push back against the people in the library organization that are supposed to be experts in their field. Thank you for listening. I'm Emily Constant from Warrensburg.
Again, we don't push back against the librarians. We let the librarians do their job. Any others?
Yes, I have. I'm sorry, Maya Kusich. Hopefully I did not mess up her name too much. Hello, my name is Maya Kusich, and I live in Warrensburg. As a member of the public, I am very concerned about the attempt to repeal board bylaws and to change the term limits. I agree with the concerns that have been expressed here by the others. Term limits are in place for a reason, and the bylaws should be upheld. The board should work to integrate new voices and opinions. Next.
Any others?
I have
How many do
Barb
we have?
Rhodes.
Luke, how many do we have?
I'm just scrolling through, trying to get to the bottom here. Looks like this is the last publicly identified person meeting the requirements to be read. Barb Rhodes.
Go ahead.
Watching the first minutes of this meeting suggests that a new board is exactly what is needed. The defensiveness of these members is almost offensive.
What is the name? I didn't hear the name.
Barb Rhodes.
Is that Rose or Rosa?
Rhodes, I think.
R-H-O-D-E-S.
Rhodes, like the bread.
There are no other comments.
All right.
Oh, sorry. One more just came in. Eric Newsom. Employees are protected in their right to talk about their working conditions in their workplace by the National Labor Retaliations Act.
Could I ask a question about that? I'm Goldie Edwards. It's my first time on the board, so I don't know everything that went before. I feel like I am one of those new people who have some innovative ideas that will be helpful, and that's what my goal is. Okay, we talked about checks and balances, which is the idea of term limitations. Is there no process, if you had concerns about this, that you would come to the director or the board to be shared with the board? Is there not a process like that?
Shouldn't be.
Do any of you know of one? Okay. I just wanted to know if there was already a process for that. Thank you.
No other public comments appearing. We will move to the consent agenda.
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second.
There needs to be a correction. There's a mistake on the one part, the motion that was made. It's 7E on the bottom of the page. It says Sandy Henke made a motion to repeal the bylaws. It should have the section and the section, or what was it? Article 3, Section 2, because we did not repeal all the bylaws. That vote was not about all the bylaws. It was only about that one line, yeah. So it should say Article 3, Section 2 of the bylaws.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agendas with the corrections to the minutes.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Consider approval to amend the bylaw, the TRO bylaws to repeal Article 3, membership, Section 2, term of office. I'm going to make a comment on this. I know it's a moot point, but I think that we need to speak as a board and vote.
You want me to make a comment?
Somebody needs to make a motion, or I would like somebody to make a motion.
Discussion, for discussion?
Hmm.
Do we have discussion?
After the,
After.
after,
Yeah.
after the minute, after. Yeah.
Consider approval.
Yes. Yes.
It has to be positive, correct? You have to make a motion, you have to make it positive.
Well, and on this, it would have to be on the exact same motion essentially, because this is what you guys, wasn't unanimous last time, and so it
Or
would need to
revote.
pass with, yes, absolutely.
But before we make a motion, I thought that you pointed out that we can't do that because it's not legal.
Right, because repealing that whole section would go against state statute.
No, it wouldn't. No, there is no state statute regarding term limits.
The terms are 4 years apiece.
Yes.
And so if you take that whole section out, you get rid of all of that, is what I'm saying.
According to the county clerk, you have to have at least a 4-year term.
A 4-year term, but there's no state law regarding number of terms.
No, but that's not what I'm saying.
But this is about the one that didn't pass unanimously last time.
To take that whole section out, which takes out the 4-year term. There is nothing in state statute that says how many terms you can have that in your bylaws or whatever, but that part is.
We can't,
You
by
can't
law,
take
we
the
cannot
whole
take that out.
Take that whole section. Which is what you were voting on last time, was to repeal or get rid of that whole section.
So the other has to be voted down on D in new business. But this one is the one that we had last meeting, and we can't legally do that.
I also believe that what we were looking at was that it was a, section 2 term of office.
It's Article 3 membership and then Section 2 term of office. And if you see, it talks about the 4-year terms in there. So you can't take that whole section out, is what I'm saying.
And that's what I just said.
Yes.
Yes, but I spoke to the county clerk, and she said that by law, we cannot completely repeal the term limit.
Because of the 4 years.
It's Missouri's, it's
We're
state
talking about two different
statute.
things. We can't eliminate the number of years a term is. That's a statute, but we can eliminate the term limits.
But what you're voting on, Scotty, which is what was on there, was to repeal the whole section.
Which is what we voted on.
Yeah, which is what we voted on last time, and we cannot do that. We can't do it.
Because it's
By
against
state statute,
state statute.
So then do we table it?
No.
Not unless.
Well, you can either
something else
not vote
illegal
on it,
later.
let it die, or if that's what it's called.
Like-
Or you
like
can vote on it if you want to do the motion and then vote it down.
we can change the term limits, but we cannot do away with term limits.
And
what did we vote on last time?
exactly what was on your agenda, to repeal that whole section. Approval to amend the bylaws to repeal Article 3, membership, Section 2, which means to get rid of it.
That's not what we voted on. We voted
Yes,
on to do
it
with
is.
term limits. We voted on to
Yes,
getting
it
rid of term limits, not
Yeah.
the whole section.
No, we voted on the whole section.
It
We
was
voted on the whole
That's the
section.
exact same thing that was on your agenda
Okay.
last time.
Yeah.
It was.
The agenda item is word for word. Yeah.
And it's in the minutes that we were voting on Article 3, Section 2.
That we just corrected.
We just corrected. Yes.
All right.
A little confusing.
So we either have to vote and vote this out, because legally we can't do it. Or we just,
I think you can just not vote on it.
Just let it die.
Doug, is that correct?
So you can either have a motion to pass it and defeat the motion, or you can have a motion to remove it from consideration, to essentially take it off the table. You've brought it back, it's on your agenda, so you either have to say we're voting to never consider this action item again, or you put the motion forward and vote it down.
That's our legal counsel, our attorney.
So we can either remove it.
Those would be your two options, yeah, for motion.
So I make a motion that we don't consider the approval to amend the Trails Regional Board of Trustees bylaws to repeal Article 3 membership. Section 2.
I second it.
Can we do it that way?
That's what he just said.
Yeah, and then we vote it down.
We make a motion to not consider it.
Not consider.
Yeah, it's a motion to remove it from the table.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, to remove from table, yes.
Do we have to have a vote on it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So we are moving remove from approval to amend the Trails.
Removing it from the table, repeal it.
We're just removing it from consideration. We're taking it out of our agenda.
And then I think Jane seconded it. Or Judy try to do those minutes.
I know.
Agenda? Or you never see that?
Well, this specific one, we're just removing it from the agenda. Just this.
It's more than removing it from the agenda, it's removing it from board consideration, it's killing the action item.
We can't even consider it because it's not legal. We can't do it. We can't do that. Now, further down, we can address that.
On 7D, we can address the other one.
But this we cannot consider. It's not lawful.
Not lawful.
Right. Did you get that, Judy? Do you need read? Right here, it says, what's the motion that we're voting on? Can you read it back so we know what motion we're voting on?
7D is still on the table.
We're doing 6A.
To remove from board consideration 6A on the meeting agenda.
Any other discussion?
Sounds to me like trying to, it's on the board out,
Yeah. I usually don't get tricked because I know what I discussed last meeting, to remove the term. That's okay.
But we can't.
Term limits.
Everybody say toss.
No,
Yes, but if you read what the
I
agenda item is.
but I know what I intended. I guess I got tricked. I got tricked. But
misworded.
I misworded it.
Yeah, I put word for word what you asked me to put on there.
Are we taking a roll call vote by mouth?
Yeah, let's take a roll call vote.
Ron McMullen,
Yes.
Patty Heckey,
Yes.
Carlin Zellen,
Yes.
Jane Beal,
Yes.
Goldie Edwards.
Yes.
Patty Long,
Yes.
Becky Ferrier, sorry. Judy Walter. Judy Tyler, yes. Scotty Walter.
I'll reserve my vote to only break a tie. All right, that motion carries. New business.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
We're up to new business.
Yes.
There was a change on this. We were supposed to have John Ryder here from Gordian Group, and we have Scott Bridewell, I hope I'm not butchering your name, and Randy Jones. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll never come to another meeting.
So do you want to?
So just come on up and tell us what, you want to tell us.
We're really just here to answer questions that we had about the two projects. I'm happy to explain what Gordian does and why we're involved.
You might come up closer, we can't hear.
I can't hear what you're saying.
Yeah, we're really just here in case the board has any questions about the two projects that are on the agenda for approval. I'm happy to explain why, what Gordian does and why, was it Roger that asked us to attend? Yeah, why he asked us to be here. But it's really in case you have questions about anything about those projects. That's what it is. We're not the contractor, so that's why I could explain if you need it, Gordian is. I'm not sure. I know John Ryder has presented before, so the board may be very aware and not need it.
I think some of the newer board members are not aware of how you operate
Okay,
and need that.
okay, I'm happy to. It won't take but a few minutes. So, do you have a question?
I probably should ask, yes, I would like to know why we did not consult our local contractor, because it would be cheaper if we used the local source and contracted it ourselves.
We made a motion and approval many years ago to go with this method of doing things.
I have no idea.
Thank you.
So
We had no idea.
may I clarify, Gordian Group isn't, they're estimators? Are you guys estimators
No, but we provide the data and software for
for
contractors.
estimating?
Yeah. So,
And they pay a fee of
yeah.
14 or 25%?
When you want to do a construction project, there's legally just a few ways you can do it. Put on the street to bid, right? You can do CM at risk. There's another method called job order contracting, okay? Job order contracting simply means that contractors are going to price whatever project comes up of a pre-priced book, the book that's already priced for construction tasks, okay? So to be a job order contractor, you have to respond to an RFP, go through a selection criteria process, and then get awarded a contract. There's a lot to say about this, but I'm trying to keep it condensed. Okay. But that's what makes it legal, is there has to be an RFP issue, all right? Some clients, large clients, City of Kansas City, the state of Missouri, they have their own job program. They have their typical ways of doing construction, but they also use job order contracting to do construction because it moves quicker. It's a quick way to do it. And it protects the owner because prices are fixed by the price in the book. They can't charge you what they want. They have to charge you what the book says. Okay. That's job order contracting. Smaller clients across the country, most of them, need access to job order contracting programs. And so purchasing cooperatives, just like you would buy a bus or a police car or paper or anything from a purchasing cooperative, they also have job order contracting programs. Okay. What Gordian does, Gordian provides that construction data that makes up the unit price book that determines how much everything costs. And Gordian provides the software to operate a job order contracting program. And then Gordian implements and manages that program for the life of the program for whoever's setting it up, whether it's the state of Missouri or a local purchasing cooperative. In this case, it's a cooperative, Sourcewell. So Gordian manages that program to make sure everybody's complying with the contract that they got. Okay. So that's why we're here. So at one point, it happens every 3 to 5 years, the co-op will put out an RFP requesting responses from contractors to participate in their job program. The contractors have to respond with a bid coefficient. They go through a selection process and they get awarded a contract. That allows anybody that's a member of that co-op to now purchase with that contractor directly. Okay, so as for TRL, you are a member of Sourcewell, and we've done several projects through this method in the past. And that's what this is. So what Gordian does then, as part of managing that program, when the contractor builds his proposal using our software and our price book, he sends that proposal to an account manager for Gordian, which is Scott. Scott lives here in the Kansas City area. Scott audits it, reviews it, audits it, makes sure that it's correct, that it matches the scope of work, that he's not put anything in there that doesn't belong. He verifies the quantities are reasonable and accurate. Okay, if there's 12 light fixtures, the proposal needs to say 12, not 14 or 18 or something. So that's what Scott does. He goes back and forth with the contractor, gets that proposal right, then submits it to you, the client, saying, we've reviewed it. We think it's accurate for quantity and he used the right line items out of the book. And it's good to go. And then at that point, you, the client, can decide if you want to do the project or not.
Does Gordian
That's why
lock
Gordian's
in,
the
do you guys lock in the price? Do you guarantee that they can get those materials for that price? Or you just
With a
say
contract.
that's the fair
That's the
bill
market
for
value.
that?
That's the market value. Yeah, and then especially over the last few years with COVID, you know, prices change daily. The book price is fixed. If there's an issue and a contractor can't do it for that book price, then he comes to us and we fix it. If that answers your question.
Mm-hmm.
We have several ways of doing it. We either actually fix it in the book or we let him do it for that proposal. He gives us the backup showing us. You know, he can't just say, hey, lumber's way up, I need more money. He has to prove it.
Right. So a change order, if a change order comes in, does it go to you or does it go?
If once you start a project and change orders, you know, change of scope happens and, and there's going to be a change in money, yes, he has to price it out of the book again. He can't just price it any way he wants to. He has to go back to those same prices he used originally. Price it out of the book, sends the change order to us, we review it, and then submit it to you. So it's been pre-audited at this point.
But when you get the change order and you approve it, and then you send it back to us,
yes,
and then we have to approve it.
Yes.
Does that have to be board approved or director approved? Or do you have to have like a person of contact?
No, that's whatever your policy is on change orders.
Or I know
we don't really approve them. We just
we've never got them.
Make them accurate.
We've never got them.
So I don't know how change orders work.
May have been an individual, as he said, versus the whole board.
Right.
The whole board would slow it down, which is the object of doing it this way, is quickly evaluating, and it's a cheaper deal. And we had this in place for a number of years until it came up a couple of projects that somebody didn't like. It was thrown out the window.
Well, the only reason why I asked that, this is my reasoning, is in the past, when we've had, and we haven't really even gotten bids, they're estimates from the contractor, which was through you. It seemed like about every bid we got was for $10,000, and then when we would go to budget that money, they'd say, oh, you better budget another $10,000 because they always go over. But the board and the jobs always did come in over more, but the board never saw the change orders. So I didn't know if you had a person of contact that you were contacting, or.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that, because all we do is review the proposals. We don't approve anything.
Okay.
We review them and say, this is reasonably accurate, and we send it to whoever asks for it. That's what,
so
our
then,
role is really to partner with the different members of the co-op to help work with you and protect you from things like that.
Right, but like these estimates we have, you can't guarantee that number.
No. We can guarantee that if the scope doesn't change, that's the price of this project.
For how many days?
Is this good for?
No, they're typically, it's good until the book price changes, which is annually. So then I have to look at tomorrow. I know. In February, so you're good till next February. But that's how it is. The book price is good.
But as long as this scope of work doesn't change,
long as
That's
booked
the
unchanged,
guaranteed
that's the
price.
price for this project.
And if there is a change, it has to come in as a change order with the price of that.
Right, and it has to, per their contract, it has to be priced the same way as the original project. So it has to go back and be priced out of the book, the change order does, yes.
Okay, all right.
And they took,
I believe I had spoken with the contractor who did this job, who is local, and he said they didn't always do things like this, and it would have been much cheaper if we'd have gone to them locally. They do a lot of local business. And the other thing is it has communications on here. It has an alarm on here, and this says HVAC. An alarm is totally different than HVAC. And I'm concerned, I did not know we had some kind of contract like that, because I know when you go out and take these bids locally, I know this guy does a lot for this town, and he probably would have given us a much better deal had we not done this. And I didn't know that we were going to be pricing that this time. I had no idea. I just think it's wrong that we didn't do it locally when we have good service here and could have saved some thousands of dollars.
This is the replacement.
are we,
I said, evidently that contractor did not join the co-op.
Right. No, I think he did. He put a bid in. He is probably part of it, but he had no idea where the job even was. I don't know if he knew where the job was. There's a lot of miscommunication about it. And I just think, you know, and we're paying 14 or 25% to this firm that I had no idea we were using. Do we have a contract, and for if so, how many years are we locked into that contract?
How did you know it was 25%? That's just hearsay.
I worked for Course Led Structures. I worked for a precast manufacturer, so I know a little bit about the construction world.
That's one of the points that we brought you on the board for.
Yeah, exactly. And so when this happens, it's like, this is just kind of like all of a sudden, like, and we're here to, you know, I'm here for kids, for library, and also to save the taxpayers' money. That's all.
This bid is for a complete all-new heating and cooling system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at first I thought they said it was just air conditioning, but it looks like this is a complete system inside and out.
Does the furnace not work?
project specifics, because he knows the project.
Okay,
I don't know the
thank you.
project.
Yeah, so I'm Scott Bridewell with the Gordian Group.
Come up here closer. We can't hear you.
So you guys aren't locked into any kind of a contract with the Gordian Group. These are simply just price proposals provided on these two specific projects. And it's, you guys either vote to do it or not do it. There's no obligation. You could, you know, procure this work in whatever method you want to, but when we were notified, hey, of these projects, there's contractors that have contracts that responded to the RFP, that were awarded contracts. So those are the only contractors that can use this Gordian contract, or those folks. So if there's a local guy that didn't respond to that RFP at that time and wasn't awarded a contract, they wouldn't be able to do the work unless they were utilized as a subcontractor from one of the contractors that did get a contract.
So if we wanted to use a local contractor, we would have to do it outside of the scope of Gordian.
No, not necessarily. I would say a contractor that has a contract could get with that company and ask them for a price to do the work. And as long as their price is in line with the construction task catalog, which is the pre-price line items, then they could certainly do the work. But they would be working as a subcontractor, not a prime contractor on that.
So we don't pay you guys anything every year
No, we pay them per job.
per job? And so we pay you a percentage of is that included in the $17,000?
That is correct, yeah.
Because the guy that looked at this, excuse me, he said they don't always do things exactly like this, and they're pretty good. They do the St. Paul's High School over here, and they put in all new heat pumps and everything there. I mean, thousands and thousands of dollars. And so, I mean, he does good work, and he said some of the stuff he didn't agree with and still would be cheaper.
But was I correct that this is for a complete HVAC replacement?
Yeah, there's two units that service this building. One of them has failed and needs to be replaced. The other one, still operational. So, yeah, it's for a new furnace.
Just one.
Yes, one new furnace and a condensing unit for that side of the system.
That side.
Yes.
So it's not the complete, it's just half of it. Okay.
And so I think that's what some of that, communication wiring in there is for those two systems to communicate with each other.
Is that what that alarm is?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the line item you're referring to is the communication between those two systems.
Okay, well, see, I had no idea because it says alarm, and when it says alarm, it makes you think that that's a building alarm or something.
Well, it's alarm and communication cable.
Are you able to talk about both?
Yes.
Both of them?
One of the reasons that we kind of went with Gordy and Group on this is because this is a faster way to get this project done.
Right.
And it's getting hot really quickly for our Concordia staff.
But because it is local, that guy services immediately, and the service if they have a problem.
But we have a lot of red tape we have to go through in order to make that happen. And that's where it becomes time consuming.
And the other thing, Sandy, is even though they do a lot of stuff, I'm not, knowledgeable enough about all that to say that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
These people do what they're supposed to do.
Well,
Right, and
We're-
for this
we're- we're
project,
lucky
that may
here.
be totally correct.
right.
Yeah.
But in this case, they're kind of like our insurance policy almost.
Right.
Of They do this day in, day out, they see these prices, they know the business.
So on the wall here, is the outside wall failing? Is that what will happen?
The second project is the Warrensburg wall. We haven't done this one yet.
Oh, this is Warrensburg, this isn't,
The wall is the one.
They are looking at this one. Hopefully we'll bring it next month, but the one they got finished was the Warrensburg wall.
and what is this? This is about the roof that we,
No, this is
something
This is
different?
with the wall, yes.
Which one was that?
Well, it says it right on the beginning of the board's contract.
just, all I saw was Trails Regional Library wall
But did
repair.
you see the address?
No, Judy, I did not.
I guess we don't read it real well then.
I guess we don't.
The HVAC project is at this location here, the wall project is at the Warrensburg location, and it's, I think, the east exterior and interior wall of that building is, has some issues that need to be.
Which we've talked about before.
Carlin, on the second page of that second project, that's where it kind of gives you the scope of work on there. This part, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Did you find it?
Well, I see where it's to Roger Dumas at Trails Regional Library in Warrensburg, but that doesn't say that's where the work's supposed to be.
I think it's on the front page, maybe.
Just not on the right page.
Doesn't really say that.
It doesn't.
I'm not seeing the location either, but it is about the Warrensburg wall. Yeah. They didn't get this one looked at and everything.
It's here since we were talking about
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, because it doesn't say Warrensburg, it only says Trails Regional Library interior.
Well, and then
When
in your packet, it did talk about Warrensburg in your line item.
But when did we start having problems with this wall?
In Warrensburg, it was noticed, Jay, how long ago was it? I don't think it's been that long.
It was in the last
This is in the March
packet.
meeting.
Yeah, it was mentioned in the March meeting, so.
We've been talking about this wall for years.
Right.
Yeah, this one's.
At least 5.
They're looking at that to put a project proposal together, but we wanted the HVAC system first, and then I think that one was an easier one to get together, I think, is what it was. And this one was taking a little bit longer for them to figure out what the problem was to have the scope of work.
I didn't realize that we were having a problem at Warrensburg.
Is there
Guess I
money
wasn't paying
budgeted
too
for
close attention.
Yes, there is.
Is there money budgeted for this fall?
I believe so, yeah. I don't have the budget right in front of me, but yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I mean, I know we've talked about it for
Yeah.
several years.
I apologize. What exactly are we being asked to do right now?
Approve entering into the agreement with them to actually do the work.
Do the work. So, Jackie, I want to just clarify that if we don't take this bid for the air conditioning, if we go back to a local guy,
we would have to go through the whole bid process, and that's what we were talking about with time consuming. And with it, I mean, summer's coming on pretty quick. We wanted to get them AC. How many what?
How many bids do we have to take?
I think you just have to put it out there.
to advertise it.
Yeah.
You have to advertise it for
So long, and yeah.
So what she's saying is that if we don't do this now, they're probably gonna have air conditioning like by the middle of August.
Oh, which year? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were doing that at home and you had to wait till the middle of August to get air conditioning, you would probably go with what you could get right now.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if he can apply to Gordian, and because I
think the contracts are awarded yearly, right? So
once Gordian puts these contracts, or actually Sourcewell puts these contracts out to bid across the entire state every 4 years. So if you respond and a contractor's awarded a contract, they have a contract for 4 years, and then the contract rebids.
Do you have the
every
name of
4
the
years.
contractors that you have,
Wilson
who the
Group.
bids came from?
Yes, absolutely, and that's all, stuff online that we could give you reference to, all the people that responded, and,
That would help.
Because we are a tax-based entity, I would like us to, if we could, I would like, in a perfect world, okay? I would like to see us use local businesses and support them, because they're a tax base that we're dealing with. And that's just my thought on that.
some reasons behind that why we can't is because we have certain requirements, and Doug, you may be able to speak to this a little better. We have certain requirements that they have to follow in order to do work for us.
I understand.
So some of that eliminates some of those smaller contractors for that very.
This was a large contractor. You're not just small. Those big jobs.
Well, you're talking about probably the size of the project. You get into bonding requirements when it gets over 25,000, and then you get into prevailing wage requirements when it's over 75.
Yeah, but this job is not bid at prevailing wage.
No, it's not. The total bid's only 17,000.
Well, and that's the reason it's not done that way.
This local company they do commercial work. That means they're not just a little fly-by-night company.
She said one thing, and you're saying.
I know,
He does
she's
commercial.
talking about Beardman's here in town.
Right across the street.
They
and you're
do,
Talking about, it wasn't a $25,000 job, is what she said.
Yeah, he said the bonding is different if the job is over 25,000.
And that,
Yeah.
she made a comment, well, this isn't that way, and
Yeah.
you're both saying the truth, the same thing, but you're not combining what you're saying.
because we're not both talking for each other. I'm talking about one thing, she's talking about something else. But I'm just saying, this isn't this company that we're talking about it's not a small company. He does large commercial jobs. So he would have the bonding, and he would know how to bid a job with prevailing wage if we had to have it. But I understand that it's a long drawn out process. You have to advertise it, and You have to have someone willing to take the bids and
And this is a learning curve for the staff too, to go and, you know, go out for bid on their own and all of that stuff. So that kind of was slowing down the process where they needed AC coming up pretty quick. So we kind of went with Gordian to get some of these projects done that we've kind of been, you know, stalling on in order to figure out things.
Heating and cooling for a year. It shouldn't be a new learning curve, because anybody that's in facilities management knows that all these things go out and they should be able to handle that if you're a facilities person.
as much maintenance as we have, I don't understand why we don't take our own bid. But that's just.
Well, and I think in the past, from what I understand, I think they used Gordian Group a lot, and RCI was one of the companies that held a contract. And I think then they just started using RCI and cut Gordian Group out, I think, which was not the way it should have been done. So we are trying to make sure that we're doing it the correct way. Our facilities person is new, and this is something that is fairly new to me because I've always had a city or a county government that we could count on to kind of help me through the process.
So did our facility person not have experience in managing facilities? If they could do this?
No, because it was like combined, because we had facilities and HR that was combined together. There's no way you're going to be able to hire someone that's qualified in both of those.
But the person that we have, if they didn't have experience,
So we had to move that to someone,
why did we not hire somebody that had experience?
because then I would have to come to the board and ask you for a whole new position. Trying to save taxpayer money.
Well, I'm trying to save taxpayer money too. Especially when you pay, you know, these are 14 to 24% on top of what we pay.
And some of that is where you would possibly be hiring an engineer or someone like that that would determine what the scope of work is. This is part of what Gordian Group does. So you're going to have those. Yeah, a lot of times you're going to have some of those additional costs anyway.
Whatever.
Well, I have a question. Under finishes, I thought the furnace and air conditioner were just in the back closet. Is it out there where it needs to be finished? There's $2,000 to.
The unit that's in question is up here in the attic, and so it's gonna have to, this wall's gonna have to get torn out, for that equipment to get placed up there, and, for that work to get done, that's part of it.
The guy told me there's already gonna be a hole in the wall and they wouldn't have to do it.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But we don't have, I don't think we're gonna have time to be able to use a local company, so.
So if you go with local, how long is it gonna be? When are they gonna be able to start and when are they gonna be able to get that done?
I didn't ask him that because
Well, I mean,
Otherwise
what
they
do you
would've had to
think?
come
What do you
tonight.
think? How do you think that process will go?
Well,
with
a
what?
lot of it is we have to go through our process.
Yeah.
So they may be able to start on it right away, but we have all of
You
those
have,
things.
you have to advertise, or take bids
So
for
it'll be
30 days.
already next month before we can even consider it
Right.
again, and then it's gonna be the end of summer before it even gets started, so it's kind of.
That's why we're talking it out.
Mhm.
Mr. Kavanaugh, you have something you wanna?
I'm sorry to bother you. If you would contact Tracy Fretner in our economic development, she has all the RFPs, RFQs that the county uses. You're more than welcome to use those. That'll speed up your process a lot faster. It also has a list of contractors that we actually use.
And that would apply for Lafayette County too?
Yes. You could have to change some of the wording, of course, so
Sure.
that, you know, but
That's
the
helpful.
samples are still there.
That's helpful to know.
Well, we did use Tracy on the roofing project in Warrensburg. And we're talking about being drug out.
Because you're talking commercial business.
Yeah, we're still not done.
I'm saying we used Tracy to help us. And it really was no help. After a couple of board members insisted we go that way.
Call for a vote.
Call for a vote.
We have a motion?
We don't have a motion yet.
I make a motion that we accept, New business A, to approve the Wilson Group for the HVAC replacement at Concordia.
Second.
Second, Patty?
We have a motion by Carlin and a second by Patty. You want a roll call or you want a voice? Roll call vote?
Ron McMullen?
No.
Sandy Hankey?
No.
Carlin Dillon?
I'm gonna say yes because of the time constraint.
Jane Beal?
Yes.
Goldie Edwards?
Yes.
Patty Long?
Yes.
Becky Courier.
Yes.
I promise I'll put it in the minutes.
Judy Walter?
Yes.
Judy Tyler, yes. Connie Walker?
No.
Motion passes by a vote of 7-3.
Right. Next up is the, wall repairs at the Warrensburg branch.
I move that we approve to enter into agreement with the Wilson Group for the internal, external wall repairs at the Warrensburg branch.
I'll second.
Have a second
I
by
think
Becky
Becky,
already.
yeah.
Okay, is there any discussion on this?
I feel like we have other maintenance that should be done before this. I mean, I don't even know how bad this is. But we have a lot of other things that needed to be fixed that have been on the agenda for several years.
This isn't a danger situation as we've been told, is it?
Were you part of the, could you speak to that?
Yeah, so when you guys had the roofing project done, they noticed the parapet wall was moving. They brought in an engineer. He recommended putting 6 tiebacks on that wall. That needs to be done. I think the issue, and so now the interior wall has separated from the exterior wall, and there's probably an inch and a half gap opening up around the windows, where the interior wall now has movement to it, and the exterior wall.
Is there a danger that the wall's gonna collapse?
I think there is. I mean, that's why they called us initially saying, hey, we feel like this is an emergency. Can you guys come look at it? So then we came out there and looked at it, and sure enough, at that time they had it kind of blocked off, roped off so people couldn't get near there.
Is this the same wall when they were doing the roof that you guys thought? Is it the same, the opposite?
That was the exterior, which was pulling away, and that's what he was addressing, the parapet wall. So, and now it's the interior wall, and what they determined when they looked at it was not secured properly, whether it was never secured properly when the renovation was done, or that has somehow come loose. But am I correct on that?
Yeah.
I'm trying to determine what wall. Is it the wall that's in front of the
So you know where the microfilm room is?
No. Give me something else.
Okay.
It's all on Holden Street.
Thank you.
Side.
Which is
As you driving by the library on Holden Street, that exterior wall.
The east wall.
You're going down.
The one that's got that weird little door down the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's more towards the entrance of the library would be that part of the wall.
More towards the corner.
And out from there up to the corner.
Being new, I just have a question, but in order to get on the agenda, I assume you and the facilities manager are the ones who determine what projects are of like imminent concern.
And typically, a lot of the projects that we present are actually in the budget, so the board approves the budget. Sometimes we have things come up like the HVAC system with this wall that wasn't in the budget, to begin with, but things that we need to address. But yes, staff are the ones that kind of bring these things forward to the board. Good question.
I have a motion by Jane Steele and a second by Becky Courier to consider approval to enter into agreement with the Wilson Group for internal, external wall repairs at the Warrensburg branch.
Take a roll call vote if there's no other discussion.
Ron McMullen,
No.
Sandy Hickey,
No.
Harlan Dillon,
No.
Jane Steele,
Yes.
Rosie Edwards,
I'll say yes.
Patty Long,
Yes.
Becky Courier.
Yes.
Judy Walter,
Yes.
Judy Tyler, yes. Scotty Walker.
No.
Motion passes by a vote of 6-4.
All right. Approval to policy A106, patron behavior.
So this was just, we added a caveat in there about, the legalization of recreational marijuana. Basically that it is prohibited. We wanted to make sure that we put that in there. So that was really all that was added. It's highlighted there in yellow for you, where we added that in.
So the part that's highlighted, that's what you want to add?
Well, we added this part,
Okay,
but I just highlighted the whole part that we were adding to, yeah.
so we want to add that.
Including
use
legal, yeah.
of just this whole thing,
Mhm.
so. Okay, I move that we accept the new wording or for the policy manual, to include the use of alcohol or drugs, including legal marijuana, is prohibited on library property that is owned, rented, or leased.
Second,
Where are we at, where is that at?
it's kind of farther back.
Keep going, yep. Gotta get through all the Gordian stuff, and then it should be right after all the Gordian stuff. Yeah, there you go.
And Jane Steele, you seconded it.
Yes,
It's actually on the next page. No, that's what was changed. I don't know why yours is highlighted. Did yours have other highlighting on the front page? No, it's good. I don't know what.
We have is there a motion and a second? Is there any discussion? I don't know about this. Drugs is kind of a, pretty open-ended there. You take a prescription, librarian catches you with your prescription.
I think it says illegal drugs, doesn't it?
No, it just says drugs.
It says drugs. Drugs are illegal? Drugs now are no longer,
Well, the,
marijuana's not, but, okay.
and prescription drugs, I mean, they're.
It should say illegal drugs.
So, should they,
And then it specifies that marijuana is legal. So even though it's legal,
Just like alcohol is legal, but we don't let them drink in the library.
So we can change the wording.
Do we have a motion on the table? Somebody would maybe have to amend.
we do with the
I think they said just to include, illegal in front of drugs, yeah.
Well, what I would suggest is alcohol, comma, illegal drugs and legal marijuana, because you're gonna have people argue that legal marijuana does not count as an illegal drug.
And that's why we put it in including legal marijuana. But yeah, either way would work.
Yeah. I mean, this makes it sound like you can't even take an aspirin in the library.
Right.
You could be studying, you could be studying real hard and need a Tylenol.
No, I agree. Alcohol, illegal drugs, and legal marijuana is prohibited by the library. That's my suggestion.
Okay, so the use of alcohol, illegal drugs,
Comma,
including and legal marijuana is prohibited on library property.
Illegal.
So the use of alcohol,
Comma.
legal drugs,
Illegal.
or, I'm sorry, illegal drugs,
And
legal marijuana is prohibited on library property.
So you're gonna have to amend your motion.
Is this line already in our policy?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yeah, we just added the including legal marijuana. So that's existing policy already.
So we're adding that to it.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe it was, city has already approved it, not within. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me get out of here.
Okay.
So you want me to amend the motion, is that what we're saying? Okay, I amend the motion to say, to add to the policy manual under section A, administration, that the use of alcohol, illegal drugs, and legal marijuana is prohibited on library property that is owned, rented, or leased. Okay?
I'll second.
Okay. Do you like just a show of hands this time, or to ask them?
You know, a roll call vote or show of hands? All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
How many yeses and how many noes did we have?
10 yes.
It was all, everybody 10.
Well, I forgot to hold mine out.
Okay.
Sorry. I was busy looking at everybody else.
That's okay. That's what I was doing. I was trying to catch it and.
Okay.
All right.
Do we want to let anybody who wants to go, or shall we skip part?
Everybody's free to leave whenever they want, yeah.
Okay, well.
I just feel sorry for you gentlemen sitting over there.
You can leave. I'm sure it has been.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Okay.
Oh, I would like one of those.
Thank you.
You can just pass it out if you want.
Okay, we're up to 7D.
I'd rather have one at home for another time.
I know,
Thank you.
For sure, I don't.
You know, mine, I don't think mine is.
Thank you.
I can
Yeah.
get you one.
Okay, that'd be great, I'd like that.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do you think we could skip on the agenda for week? Do you think we could skip these around so we could go to the word right away and then move to those?
What do you want to do?
I didn't know if we could go on to, put D, move D down further and get these other ones and then work on all that together.
I would take a motion to move that around.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and, let's move 7B down to the bottom. And let's move on to E, F, and G. And then someplace I guess I don't have the correct list. I don't know where executive session is. Oh, it's down at the bottom. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Motion to move 7D to the bottom of the list.
Second.
Motion and a
To
second.
just a minute,
Yeah.
to the bottom of the list,
After 7H.
Of new business. Harlan Dillon second.
Yes, I do.
I'm curious as to the reason.
Because it's gonna take a long time.
Right. But we were concerned with people that are here, and a lot of them have voiced that that's the reason they are here.
Well, we're all gonna be here for a long time tonight.
well, we're gonna be here even longer if we move it.
We have a motion and a second, we'll take a vote.
And vote it down.
Ron McMullen,
Yes.
Kenny Heckey. Yes. Harlan Dillon.
I really wish I was further down on that list.
Take the best chair.
I didn't, well, I'm off the camera, but, what is my question again?
We're just moving it down below there.
Oh.
To the bottom of the new business. We're just gonna move it down.
I'll say no.
Okay.
But you seconded, correct? You just changed your mind?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I just changed it.
No. No.
I just wanted to clarify that.
You said no, right, Harlan?
Yes,
Colby Edwards.
no is my answer.
Patty off.
No.
Rex Spurrier.
No.
Judy Walter.
No.
Susie Tyler. No. And Scotty Walker.
Yes. All right.
Motion defeated.
Yeah, because it was a positive.
Yeah.
And we voted it down to talk about it now.
Right.
Motion defeated.
Sorry, I was a little confused.
I know.
Right.
Well, you know, Georgia just has stuck with us, you know, she.
Okay, so we're going to consider options for board term limits.
Well, I'll speak. I voted against this last month, and I think that, term limits are term limits. I agree with them in all organizations. And I think it adds new people to the board, new options, new ideas to the board. And I think that we should not change the term limits.
We need to have a motion first before we have discussion.
I move that we go with option one, keep the bylaws the same and allow the 3 board members to term out as normal.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to go with option one. Do you have any discussion?
I just put my discussion in.
Okay, so if I understand, a motion has been made and seconded that the board, term limits will stay the same as they are currently. Now, there were other options presented. Are we talking about those at this time during this, or can we only talk about the first?
I think it's just a motion that's on the table.
Okay, so I'm gonna.
Well, it's considering the option.
Okay.
If you read this, it says
That's true.
considering the option.
Right, but the motion that was made that you're discussing was to keep option one. Yeah. So we can go with option one.
But don't we have to make a motion to consider the options?
Yes. I'll make a motion to consider.
You can't, we have a motion on the floor.
We have to vote this, so
Oh,
if you don't
okay.
want it, vote it down.
Okay.
It is confusing, Judy. We're tired.
All right, any other discussion?
I'm so
All right. We'll have
Oh, wait,
a-
I do have a question.
Yes.
Sorry. If we were to, at this point, say that, no, we don't approve this, and we reintroduce this later, we reintroduce a motion.
I thought we were just considering the options. I didn't realize that we were gonna vote on
Can we withdraw?
the options.
Can we withdraw the motion?
No, you have to vote it down now, because you've already
Well, we
made it.
were discussing until the motion was called for. So that was the consideration, I guess, time. I mean, that was when, right?
That's how I took it, that you were gonna discuss before
Before a
option.
motion was made.
That's what I thought too. I appreciate the enthusiasm.
Can you just rescind your?
Yeah, can you rescind it?
I thought we could. I think you
Can't
can
withdraw a
rescind
motion?
I thought you could. I think you can withdraw a motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can withdraw.
Anyone who made the motion can withdraw it.
Okay, there you go.
But then can we restate?
And it's on the agenda, it's on the agenda as a discussion item. You can discuss it because it's on the agenda. You don't have a motion to discuss. You can discuss and then make a motion.
And can the motion be reintroduced later after the discussion?
Yes, after you've had your discussion on this item, considered the options, you can make as many motions as you need to vote on which option you decide to go with.
All right, I'll rescind the motion.
So are we open for discussion?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We maybe go through the options.
That's a good idea.
One by one.
I'm trying to decide if this is the time I want to say my piece.
Oh, well, I'm trying to figure out where we came up with these options from.
We asked Jackie to check into options.
And these are the options that she sent to us. Those were the only ones that I thought that you had, considering that you had to keep the four-year terms.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that the whole board is aware, because Jackie tells us all the time, discussions need to happen at the board meetings. So this is the time that we need to talk about things that have happened that the whole board is not aware of.
Should we actually go?
If you want to.
Are you going to talk about this?
I am.
Okay.
Let's see, I gave you one. Some employees went and addressed the commissioner's office in Johnson County. They were advised by Director Hawks and the county clerk, Diana Thompson, to move this way, to do this, okay? So employees went to the commissioners, and
I think you're a little incorrect, though. I didn't direct them to go. You facilitated. I gave them information that they requested about a public meeting. That's a little different than me saying, you go do this. That's given direction. They asked me for information about a public meeting that I provided.
Okay, so, but I asked you in your office if how they knew to go before our meeting to the commissioner's office.
And I told you that the county clerk, when I was talking to her about getting information for the board on this topic,
that you mentioned,
that I mentioned that there was some staff that said that they would like to show up at our meeting as well as the commission meeting if it went that far. I got an email from Diane saying that, I believe the email said that the commissioner said that that would probably be a good time for them to come and speak before they actually were asked to approve anything. And so I passed that on to the staff. I never directed them to say, go do this. Completely different.
So you new board members may not know this, but the board was never approached about any of this. No one ever brought any concerns to us, but I will say that this came on, to change the term limits came on to our agenda very quickly. And we were discussing, we were still kind of in the discussing stage of it. And anyway, I guess it made a bunch of employees nervous, and they went to the county commissioners. And some things were said at the county commissioners. I asked if they went and represented themselves as employees of Charles Regional, and Jackie, you had told me no, but in your defense, you were not here.
I wasn't there.
You weren't here. But they did present themselves as Trails Regional Library employees. So they went to the commission, and I believe, this is my belief, that they prejudiced the commissioners against the board.
Well, and I have to say too, it wasn't, from what I understand, it wasn't just staff that came and spoke to the commission. There were people from the public as well.
But how did they know to go to that meeting?
It's an open public meeting.
No, because
and everything is on.
It wasn't posted because Diane said that she had forgot to post it that day.
And I have no idea.
So how did they know to go?
I'm assuming that word of mouth.
I know, but I won't say.
I mean, I'm assuming word of mouth. I mean, that's how a lot
So
of
they
things.
had to talk about it among themselves.
So because they went, the commissioners listened to their grievances, and they tabled the new appointees for the board. And so because they believe that we're seating the board and we're doing all these nasty things, we're not submitting all the applications. I was told that we just accept what applications we want and we throw the rest of them away. And I told them that was a misconception, that we don't even handle them until we are asked to consider them, that the director takes the applications. Then we were told that we didn't advertise. We did advertise. I don't know how our new board members found out about it, but we did advertise, and the board carefully considered each application. They were all excellent, excellent. And we made a decision. But I believe that the employees went to the commissioners and they tainted the commissioners' decision to take away our recommendations, and they decided to appoint who they wanted. In several things I have heard, it's been, and I have all kinds of papers here that says ultimately the commissioners have the authority to, they are the only ones that have the authority to appoint someone to the board. And that's correct. That is correct. But I also feel like it had been a thinly veiled threat. That you all do what you want to do, the county commissioners are going to make the ultimate choice.
I don't think it was a veiled threat. It's just, that's the facts.
It is the facts. But we were reminded several times about it, several times. And that's okay. The commissioner sent out a statement that they don't agree with us changing our bylaws, and that's fine. I understand that. But they went and complained. I thought they went to complain about the appointees, but they went to complain about something that the board hadn't even considered yet. We're just now considering it tonight.
But you did consider it and vote on it at the last meeting.
And it didn't pass.
Right, and that's why it was brought back again to potentially pass with a majority.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you guys did take action on it last month.
Yeah.
Okay, so last month, they've had 30 days. They've had 30 days to voice a complaint to the board.
We've only had a board meeting today. This is the next board meeting we have.
They could go to the director and ask to be put on the agenda. And they failed to go to the director because that's who they report to. They don't report to us. They report to the director.
But they don't have to report to me to go to an open public meeting.
When they express the work issues,
it still is an open public meeting, and they have every right. Just because they're employees of Trails doesn't mean we get to silence their voice.
We're not.
No. But they specifically went as employees to change the commissioner's thoughts. And then the commissioners have said that they don't want us to change our bylaws. We have a letter from them. And it also says that the county commission reserves the right to appoint members of the board, action by the board to do away with the number of terms a board member can serve, does not obligate the commission to continue to appoint individuals indefinitely.
Right.
So it pretty much says that it doesn't matter how we vote. If we was to vote to keep those persons, if we was to vote to keep an option that would let those people, if we was to change the years of term, that the county commissioners will not appoint those people again.
Well, I think they said they don't have to.
They don't have to indefinitely appoint.
Right. It doesn't obligate them to continue to appoint people past those 2 terms.
So that's one county. What about the other county? Because one of these members is in Lafayette County.
Right, and I think they should be on the same page with this, I would think, but they don't necessarily have to be.
Commissioners have to make their own decisions in each county, I would think.
But the employees have the right to go to the meeting. It's a public
They
meeting.
have,
And they can say that they are employees of the Trails Regional Library. Anytime any of us who are employed anywhere can go to a public meeting, say, I'm employed by this, entity, and I disagree with what they're doing. It's a public meeting.
but we hadn't done it yet.
We had voted on it last month,
But
and because it was not unanimous, it was being brought back to this time and it only needed a majority to pass. So we did vote on it, and if we had done it unanimously last month, it would have already passed.
Okay.
Yes, but they said concerns of continued dysfunctional and micromanaging by the board.
Well,
They are complaining about their job. They need to complain about their job, not to the county commission, because they don't write their paychecks. They need to complain to the director in chain of command. If they have a problem at their job, that things are dysfunctional, they need to go to their manager, and then their manager needs to come to us. So
This should have been handled internally.
and those are not verbatim, as Commissioner Kavanaugh said, those are not verbatim. And sometimes when you take things down and it's in a sentence, it may not have the same idea that what the person said.
Well, there's an awful lot of lies in here about me, so I'm just gonna,
Well, I agree with you,
yeah.
all 3 of them.
Turnover of 4 directors in the past 5 years. I've worked with Susan Bonnet, who retired after 25 years. I worked with Karen Hickman, who retired after 13 years. And then we had a couple little doozies that were here for a short time that were clearly over their head. Here's the 5th director. Are you quitting?
I certainly hope not.
Okay.
We just gave you an evaluation.
So we're four directors in the past 5 years.
I just received this, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm listening to everybody talking. So can we take just a moment so that I can read through this? Thank you. I don't want to read it as you guys are talking, because I know I'll miss
Can
something.
I get a copy of that? Because I haven't seen it.
They can make.
That's right, she's gonna share with me.
It's fine, right?
Okay, at this commissioners meeting, they don't provide first and last names on all cases. Who is the James they're talking about?
Raymond James.
Raymond James.
And like I said, I don't
Isn't
know.
that the guy that we nominated? No?
No,
his name-
Bill.
But Bill.
I was not at this meeting. That's why we requested these minutes.
Because we would have attended that meeting had we known about it.
I just feel like it was something that should have been handled internally.
It should have come to the board before it went public.
And I'm trying to listen to you guys, and I want to be present in this, but I also want to read, and I haven't gotten a chance to. I'm not a slow reader, so give me a second.
They're probably at this meeting.
Yeah, they probably, yeah. Yeah, he's gonna come in the front door pretty soon.
Was it on I-70, Sandy?
At Oak Grove.
I mean, I know it Oak Grove,
Yeah,
but
it was road rage, yeah.
Yeah, and road rage was it on I-70 itself?
Yeah.
guy just come through there.
We've obviously left the
Yeah, gross.
online
And the
meeting.
guy's running around in Lafayette and Sling County.
Oh, my God.
They're trying to find him. They're telling everybody to lock the doors.
I'm now at my house.
Oh, they're in Swain County now?
Well, they thought.
Huh?
Have we left the
Well,
meeting?
anything.
Unless my doors are unlocked, my grandson, but I don't put them locked.
Yeah, I get my lock, but
My husband.
about 3 years ago.
Well, he's
they
also,
came to
he's
us.
also barefoot, they say. He's also barefoot, so I don't know how far he's gonna
He
go.
might have help.
Phew.
Okay,
Okay, so this is my problem. The board as a whole, they vote whoever we're gonna appoint. We have our own opinion, and like I said, all of the candidates were excellent. They were all excellent. They were the most applications we had ever got, that I have ever seen. And I was thrilled by it. I will work with whoever is on this board. But I don't appreciate employees going to the commissioners and prejudicing them against the board. I understand it's an open meeting. I understand they have that right. They could have went as citizens. They didn't have to say where they work. They didn't have to say they were with Trails. They didn't have to submit a petition. Because then that makes them look like they are representing Trails Regional.
but they need to tell the truth. And this
Well, and
is,
the commission knows though that they are employees. I mean, they know the structure, obviously, when they.
They don't ask. When you go to the commissioners, they ask what your name is, and they ask what you're there concerning.
These have identified themselves as staff.
Yes.
Yes.
But it looks like a lot of the stuff written about you, Scotty, was by just a person.
This was written by the clerk, the county clerk.
No, what I'm saying is the person who indicated was just part of the public. It was not a.
Well, some of these accusations, how would they even know? How would they know that? If they're just some Joe Blow out in the public, how would they know that?
Mr. James states that there is no transparency between the board and the public. He states that additional information should be pushed out regularly from the board to express what is going on. Our minutes are published every month.
You can find them online.
They're published every month. I've never seen Mr. James.
Every employee here has said that they watch our meetings.
Yes, I've never seen Mr. James at our meeting.
Well, I'd like to say that we're supposed to be considering about the board term limits.
But that's the point. It doesn't matter now.
Anybody could go to the commission and say whatever they wanted,
Yeah.
whether it was true or not. And unfortunately, we can have an opinion about that, but we can't stop them from doing that.
Well, but
And so the commission has to.
the commissioners,
Or not.
it prejudiced the commissioners to think that we were not able to, I guess, pick candidates to be on our board. And so they overrode our
I don't want it to crash.
nomination.
Okay. Can't they do that anyway?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
But
I understand your
they
point.
normally consider our recommendation.
Right, which we had not reached the point of, I wasn't on it, I was at the meeting, but you all had not reached the point of making a recommendation or changing the bylaws.
True. Yes, we had voted on
It voted no, but you were.
It didn't pass.
Right, it
not
didn't
pass.
pass, asked for more information.
And we do
and
that.
We're coming back.
Yes.
But even if you voted and said, we're gonna change it, and all three of you were still on there, at that point, the commissioners still could have said no, correct?
That's correct. That is correct.
And the objection is you all weren't giving the opportunity to go through your process without them without the commissioners making kind of a.
The commissioners changed our nomination. And it's not anything against any of the people here, because like I said, they were all great. Everybody was great. I had no problems with any of them. But like you said, the commissioners have the right to pick whoever they want. So even if we change our bylaws and change the terms, they will not appoint those people back on the board.
Even though they, they have done well, and
So,
to keep some continuity on the board, we're
so
going
it's a
to
mute
have.
point. So my question to you is this, as board members, if they can do this, then every time we go to appoint somebody, if they don't like who our decision is, then they just trot off to the commissioners and say, we don't like those people who the board picked, and we don't think our board is capable enough to make a decision, and here is the people we want.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it, Judy?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was 4 years ago.
4 years ago, yeah. I
And
would have
that's
thought the
my
commissioners-
problem with this.
I would have thought the commissioners would have learned a lesson.
And that is my problem with it.
Just for those of you who don't know, an outgoing director decided to run down to the county commission. This board voted to reappoint Judy, me, and Ron to the, back.
Even elected you as officers.
Correct. And the outgoing director, who left not because of me, despite what this says, ran down to the county commissioners and resigned to the county commissioners. She didn't resign to the board, and she resigned to the county commissioners and said, oh, by the way, we don't want Scotty and Judy back on the board. I don't know how Ron escaped her wrath, but
So I have a problem with the commissioners too, because they took away whatever.
does it stop here? Will they want to approve our budget?
We're not
Then they may
really
as well be the board.
talking
That's
about
right.
what we need
They
to
don't
talk
have any
about.
authority
We
over
need
it.
to
Yes, we are, because it's now a mute point. It does not matter what we vote now.
That's just, yes,
'Cause,
that's
I
just
mean-
your opinion.
And if you read their letter, they're not saying, no, we're not gonna reappoint that. They're just basically stating the fact that they don't have to, and their recommendation is that you don't change the bylaws. But they never said, we're not going to not take your recommendations anymore.
They
But they've already-
didn't.
but
They've already done that.
Well, they took one of your recommendations and then changed.
We don't know for sure if they really took that person because we recommended them or not. We don't have any way
That
of knowing.
doesn't really make any difference. They still have the right, they had the right to do that all along. And whether or not somebody talks to them or you think they prejudice them, I mean, that's your opinion. You're not the commissioners, and
No, I'm not.
and you don't know what their thought process was or if that affected them or not. And they still have that right, and whether or not that is why or whether that's just what they decided, that's just the way it's set
One
up.
commissioner said to me, why, I did not go to that meeting. I went to the meeting, was it yesterday? Oh my gosh, that was a lifetime ago.
I know, it seems like so long ago.
I went to the meeting that was held yesterday. And, what was my point?
Were you referring to a commissioner's meeting?
Yes.
Okay, you said one commissioner said.
One commissioner said he didn't understand why we were, having so much trouble with this appointment when we should be worrying about budget constraints that's gonna happen.
In the legislature. Yeah.
Mhm. That we had other things to be worried about. And that's true, but the board has never said that the employees could not come and talk to us. The board has always championed our employees. We voted them raises
They did.
After
after they went to the
After
commissioners.
they made a public,
Why didn't they wait to see what we voted,
Tonight.
and then they could have went to
if
the
they didn't like
commissioners?
what happened, then they could have
I don't
gone
know
on.
why they did that. I don't know what their reasoning was, but
Because
at
the
end,
county,
they have a
because
right
the
to go to a
county
public
clerk,
meeting.
because the county clerk advised them to go before we voted.
Well, I know sometimes if somebody has an issue, like if somebody's going to make a decision I don't like, I mean, even my parents, I would plead my case and pull out all the stops, throw my little brother under the bus, anything to get my parents to make a different decision. But if they'd already made that decision, I don't have as much of
But you didn't.
an argument.
But they don't
but
want,
we
they don't
didn't-
want
we
us
didn't-
micromanaging them,
we
and they don't want us micromanaging the director, but they are micromanaging this board.
They are.
We
And
were
it
not given-
says in here that is causing the environment is off intent. They should report that to the director to report to us.
But from
They
what I
do not know
understand, that was before I came.
Which has nothing to do with now.
But you were notified that the employees were disgruntled, but you didn't bring it to the board or say anything to the board.
It says staff is concerned the current director will leave. It says the current director, and then that follows that.
The way that I see that is kind of a trauma response. If you've been a foster kid and you've been in a couple households and you were abused in those households, you're not going to go skipping into the next household thinking everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows. You're going to have that same response of like, great, when's it going to happen? How long am I going to get to be here? And so, I mean, I guess that's the way I'm interpreting it. Like, they've lived through those things, and I don't know if they were here or not. I mean, I don't know.
We all lived through them.
The other thing that we've never heard about, it said, Steinkuhler also noted examples of Trails Regional, the board, being difficult to work with regarding staff parking, branch hours during the pandemic, threatening termination of a director over craft problems, only advocating for the branch close to where they live and not advocating for the district as a whole. We have always talked about every library. We've never, we have talked about, yes, every location is different, and each location has different needs because some are small, not, it's in the different communities. The communities are so different as well. But they're still saying.
I have absolutely no idea what parking.
I never heard.
Well,
we've never heard of that.
Yes, we have.
we don't want to, because we don't want to asphalt this little piece here where the employees park.
Yeah. Right, and that's a lot of the statements and how staff take it is when those statements are made about staff, and a lot of them are in the minutes. They're in the videos, that statement. And I know since I've been here, there's been a few that have been made in meetings regarding staff. I mean, in some of the minutes that I looked at before I took the job, I mean, there were statements made that staff were incompetent.
Yeah, but we're
they
talking
should be
about
fired.
We're not going from before.
But this goes back to what she was talking about with the trauma response, though. Why would you think that they would feel comfortable coming and talking to the board when they feel like that's how the board thinks about them as staff? They don't appreciate it.
But they shouldn't come to the board. They should come to you.
And I have
heard, you say that they're not allowed to talk to us as board members
about library business.
If we want to talk about chain of command, if they're uncomfortable, they should come to you.
I will tell you right now, every one of the staff members that are sitting in that audience are shaking in their boots because of potential retaliation against them.
Well, you know what? We've been accused of being hard to get along with. We don't consider every library. We don't, and we're combative. And so what they did wasn't combative.
No. They had every right to go and speak on how that experience affected them
we're all
at
staff,
a public meeting.
We're all staff members allowed to take time off from work to go to this meeting. We're the employees. We're employees from Knob-Nasser and Holden.
Because it was at 2:30 in the afternoon. Was everybody allowed to go?
Well, I wasn't even there for one.
Where were you?
I was out. I went to go see my son in Kentucky.
On April 13th?
Yeah.
That first meeting?
I left on that Wednesday the 12th. I was out of the office and just came back yesterday morning.
But somebody should know whether they were on the clock or not.
My biggest beef is,
I was on PTO.
my biggest beef is, I don't understand why it didn't come up the chain of command. And you can't say that we don't consider any time they have brought something to us, okay, except for this parking lot out here. When they came to us in Warrensburg and said that they were scared,
what did we do?
we hired personnel to protect
how
them.
many thousands haven't we spent on cameras?
Then we
for the
spent
safety of
thousands
our
on
employees?
cameras. Thousands. We voted them a raise because we felt they needed it. And if you want to talk about personnel, we've had just as big a personnel changeover under your direction than we have any of the others.
And if you ask a lot of those employees why they left, they will tell you it was because of
The
interactions
board?
with the board.
They never had,
They didn't have
they don't
any
have
interaction with
interactions with the employees.
There was no interaction with the board.
Before I came, the previous director gave you guys a call list of who to call for what. So all of those employees were getting phone calls from board members complaining or asking questions, whatever, when all of that information is supposed to go through the director. Now, I don't agree with the previous
I
director
was
doing that. I must have been on the, I never got that list.
I didn't hear any of that. I didn't call anybody. I didn't talk to anybody.
I never got a list.
I have never talked to anybody.
I know that there were people that were called that were, everything was not going to director. These are some of the red flags that I saw that I mentioned to Scotty when he called to ask.
But
me
we're
to
still
put my name
talking
back
about
in.
now. We can't do anything.
But the
about what
thing
they did in
is,
the past.
these staff have lived through that, just like some of the board members that were there lived through that horrible situation.
You move on because you have if you get a new executive director in whatever job you were at, things change. Always, because they're going to have their way of doing things.
And
But
when
there
we were
also needs to be
contested with,
change at the board level for some of those changes to take place. I will tell you, Trails, because of the board, has a bad reputation across the state of Missouri.
so do you now.
And I've never heard
Yes.
that.
And
And hopefully,
I
because
never
when I
heard
go
what
to
difference
those
does that make?
meetings and they ask me, how are things with your board? I can honestly say, it's been great,
It's been great.
you know?
But now you
But
have a
the free-
reputation of, and the employees do too, of being contentious, because I thought we were all working along. I thought we were all communicating well. I thought things were going well.
And then boom, they're showing up at the commission meeting.
But when we stopped Warrensburg from being a soup kitchen, then all
Everything
heck
went
broke
bad.
loose. Everything went bad.
That doesn't even have anything to do with
Yes,
it.
it does.
No, it doesn't.
I think it does.
It does
Yes,
not.
it does.
This has to do with, because 3 long-term board members that were part of the trouble board before I came, that these employees have lived through all of that, witnessed it, and it trickles down. Anything that happens at our level, if there's dissension between the board and the director, that trickles all the way down and affects everyone in the organization. They live through that. And so for you to present that you're going to do something to allow 3 of those people to stay on the board, that is scary for them. And honestly, I have to say it's scary for me too, because I never know when that potentially could happen.
Then why didn't they voice those concerns to the board?
They are here tonight to voice that.
And why didn't they do it?
But first they went to the commissioners.
This is the first
So
meeting.
now
They
they
didn't
have,
follow protocol.
now they have prejudiced the commissioners, and the commissioners are not gonna vote. You know what? The next board appointee, I'm not gonna vote for. We might as well just send it to the commissioner's office, because if we
Why
don't
should
vote
we
the
do
way the
that?
employees want, they're gonna go to the commissioner's office and say,
Okay,
we don't think the board's
stop.
competent
we
enough.
have to stop arguing like children and talk
Carlin has a right to
calmly.
speak.
She does, but
Carlin has
she
a right
needs
to
to
speak.
speak calmly, and we need to have a discussion like adults. Now, we can't just be,
I don't think Carlin is being childish.
Because they took the power away from the board.
That's what the board
But
does.
don't you think that the commission is intelligent enough, competent enough, that if the staff keep going to them with this, that they're gonna catch on, that, you
No,
know,
because they have never attended one of our board meetings to see what we actually do.
who's that?
The commissioners.
Yeah, they have.
We've got one right there,
I
and
haven't
they've
seen
been
one
here
in 2
before.
years. I haven't seen one in 2 years. And I do want to go back to the
We
thing.
have had closed meetings.
No, and I want to go back to where it says branch hours during the pandemic. Everything you brought to us,
We approved
we
it.
approved everything through the pandemic, and we went.
That
through
was
that.
prior to me.
That was
That was
prior.
prior to me.
I remember, at
by
least
Tanya.
Because I came up with a plan, so we all had a plan that we could follow.
But yes,
That was
we
right
always-
after
I remember you updated it, and we agreed with everything.
But just, and like I said, the majority of the grievances happened before I came.
That's okay.
and what was the
And if
question
I'm
I
wrong,
always ask
staff
you?
can speak up.
when you bring something up, dealing with the branches, first thing we said was, has this been brought before the branch managers? Have you gotten their input? And you would say, yes.
We speak regularly with all the branch managers.
I see the board as a board to support the employees of the library.
And I felt like we always have.
And the library itself. And I'm supporting them in the fact that if they felt they needed to go to the county commissioner, then they had the right to do so. You know, whether we disagree
And
with
I'm not
whether they
saying
went along,
I'm not saying they
had
didn't
the
have
right
that
to
right.
go.
I'm not saying they didn't have that right. But they went, they had time to come before the board first. This is something we haven't even considered yet. It failed last time. They knew it was going to come up on the agenda this time. It could have
Has to be put on the
They
agenda.
could have been asked to put on the agenda. They could have presented us with their concerns. They could have showed us.
They could have given us a plan of what they'd like.
They could have showed us their petition that they had with the employees. They could have done all of that.
We would like to see that petition with that.
But
list of
they
things. I think we
didn't
have a
think
right to
the
have that
board would be
petition.
responsible to make the decision that they wanted.
But the majority vote last time was to do away with term limits.
Because it had to be a unanimous vote.
Right, but
And
then
it
for it to
wasn't,
get brought
was it?
back to this meeting,
Right.
it could pass with a majority.
Right.
And there was no.
That is
no
what
vote
they were
for that.
afraid of.
And that's what I'm saying. They had 30 days to get it together and present something to the
And they're
board.
here tonight.
But they went to the commission.
Only because
They went to the commission and lied.
They went to the commission about something that hadn't even happened
On our
yet.
agenda, we are considering options for board term limits.
And
And unfortunately, we've not done that, and we keep discussing this, and I think
It relates
everybody
to that.
knows everybody's opinion on what happened. And, I mean, we could keep talking about it,
So let's consider.
but I mean, can we consider the agenda?
It's obvious that there are communication issues from the staff to the director, or however you want to say it, and to the commission, all right? And I think that is what people are the most upset about. If you had a problem, there was a different way you could have handled it, okay? That is something that I think we need to work on. Now, I think we need to decide, as she said, what are we going to decide on term limits? Do we want to change term limits? Are we going to discuss the options that we have here and then move on? But I do think that what you pointed out is very important, and that is something we need to address as a board, as a staff, and as a commission altogether. Okay, that's my 2 cents.
We have a motion on the
No.
floor.
So it's rescinded.
I'm gonna make a motion that we adopt option number, yes, Ken.
I believe
The-
they've considered any of the options yet.
I'm making a motion.
He's making a motion.
And the chair can make a motion. I did look that up.
To do what? Which option?
Option number 3.
I second it.
Any discussion on that?
I think you would need, maybe, if you're making a motion, you would need to know what the three, if it was gonna be 3, 4, but how many consecutive terms.
Okay, I make a motion that we adopt option number 3. The language would be, no board member shall serve more than,
Just like a,
three or more consecutive full year.
Well, I think you have to put in there exactly how many.
Okay.
3 terms, yeah. Since I didn't know what you guys would pick, that's why I kind of put it in that way.
So are we just going with 3 term limits or
more?
Or more.
Or more. Well, I think you have to specify.
Specify.
So, or you can go option 4, which is no limit.
We vote on what Scotty said, option 3.
That was the motion.
That was the motion, and that's what we vote on. Then we come back and say, the term limits will be 1, 2, 3, 4.
But if you go with option 4, it has to pass with the majority.
Right.
It says.
Both of these do, both of them, option 3 and 4.
Says this would require unanimous.
And if not, then
Okay.
just like with the vote last time, then you would bring it back and potentially pass it.
My motion is a member appointed for an let's see.
They serve 3 or more. Yeah, but the thing is, you need to put a specific number in there.
Well.
Just get rid of more.
More than.
No, it says.
No,
yeah,
we,
Well, you could do 3 consecutive, 4 consecutive.
We need to remove the question
Or
mark.
more, right, correct, yes.
Okay, either one requires a unanimous vote. My motion is option 4, keep the 4-year term limits, since this is set by statute. I'm making the motion.
I thought we were.
Oh, yeah, we do have a second.
So wait a minute. First of all, didn't you say option 3?
I did, and I'm not really seeing what the difference is. So I'll go back.
Well, the number 3, you put in a specific number, just
Okay.
like right now, we have two full 4-year terms. So that would be 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever you wanted to fill in the question mark. The other one, option 4, is unlimited. You don't put a number in there. Does that help clarify a little bit?
Okay, my motion is option number 3. The language would be no board member shall serve more than 3 consecutive full 4-year terms. I feel like that we should put a number of years in there because a person.
Year is up above.
The year is there.
It's 4-year term.
Right, no, what I'm saying is, we have, in the bylaws currently, a person could be appointed to the board today and resign in a week, and then that replacement could serve 12 years.
No,
Yeah,
it's 2 years.
It's in here.
It's in there.
A member appointed for an unexpired term may serve X number of full terms beyond, and if you're picking 3, then 3 4-year terms beyond the unexpired term. So it's worded the same way that it is in your bylaws.
So it'd be 3 and 3.
Correct, yes. So both of those question marks would be a 3. Yeah.
Okay.
I tried to put it where it was the simplest, but it's hard.
I thank you, because everything that's written there, you can take it right off of there. I've got C.
All right.
Yes, and I seconded it.
Yeah, could you please read the motion so that we know what we're voting on?
Okay. Scotty Walker made a motion to adopt option number 3. And that would be, no board member shall serve more than 3 consecutive full 4-year terms. A member appointed for an unexpired term may serve 3 full terms beyond the unexpired term. Scotty made the motion, and who second?
I did. Sandy.
Sandy seconded. Roll call vote.
Ron McMullen,
Yes.
Sandy Henke,
Yes.
Harlan Dillon,
And here I am, I'm too early on this list.
Would you like to have a seat?
You can move your seat over there, I guess.
Gonna move it out the door.
No.
Yes.
Can you come back to me?
You don't have to vote on that.
Come back to me, Judy.
Jane Veal? No. Rosie Edwards?
No.
Patty Long?
No.
Becky Courier?
No.
Judy Walter?
Yes.
Judy Tyler? No. And Carlin Dillon?
No.
Scotty Walker?
Yes.
Motion defeated. It required unanimous approval. Defeated. 6 noes, 4 yes.
So that means it can come back next
It
month.
can come back next month.
Yes.
Can we make another motion? I move that we go for option 1, to keep the bylaws the same and allow the 3 board members to term out as normal.
I'll second it.
Patty Long or Becky?
I don't know if we can do that.
It doesn't matter.
Is the lawyer still on? Is Doug on?
Yes, Doug, you're still there, right?
Yes, you can have competing motions.
Okay, thank you.
If there's things that are gonna come back next month, you can have competing motions.
Thank you.
This one's gonna come back.
Patty is Long. Did you second it?
That's, yeah, it's over, yeah, that's fine.
Number 1 now.
Okay, we have a motion made by Jane Veal to adopt option 1, keep the bylaws the same, and allow the 3 board members to term out as normal, with a second by Becky Courier.
Does this have to be unanimous too?
Yes, ma'am. Or no, this one does not. Because it doesn't involve changing your.
But it doesn't matter if this one passes, this other
We
one's
could
gonna
still-
come back.
It could still come back next time. We just have to request that to be on the agenda. I've already got it down here. Okay.
Roll call vote.
Ron McMullen,
No.
Sandy Hanky,
No.
Carlin Dillon,
Back on that.
You want her to come back?
I'll come back.
Yeah, come back to me.
Jane Veal, Cody Edwards, Patty Long,
Yes.
Becky Courier,
Yes.
Judy Walter,
Abstain.
Judy Tyler, yes. Carlin Dillon,
Long enough.
Mines were made up.
My mind's been made up for a while too, but
Look that way.
it doesn't matter, I'm gonna abstain.
Connie Walker.
No.
Okay. Motion received, 5 yeses. 3 noes. And 2 abstentions.
Abstentions are considered voting with the majority in this circumstance.
Then we have 7 yes and 3 no.
Oh, would have liked to have known that before. Man, that's what happens when you don't make a decision. I don't think so.
We can revote next month.
Do the other options want to be considered?
I don't think so. But make the motion if you want.
No.
I'm going to give you fair warning, though. We're going to be talking more about this letter next month, because this is full of lies, and this is wrong. This is full of lies, and this is wrong. And if the staff isn't going to defend me and Ron and Judy against these lies, against this whole board, because this whole board, this is a lie against this whole board. If the staff isn't going to defend us, look out.
I don't think that's the appropriate response. That's a threat. I agree with you. I think that the things that were said were in there were totally and completely inappropriate. But I don't know for sure who's on staff at this point, so I don't know which ones are staff comments. I think there are better ways to handle this.
They're lies. They're not lies against you. They're lies against me. They're lies against Ron. They're lies against Judy and whoever the board was at that particular time.
I
They're
think
lies.
most of the board feels threatened by all of that.
Mhm.
I am very disappointed. I'm strongly disappointed that our director did not advise us of this so that we could have went to the commissioner meeting
This all could have been avoided.
and presented our side. She knew.
She knew it was going to happen.
She admitted to me that she knew.
She told us she knew. I got the email from Diane and I forwarded the information to the staff. She didn't say anything about the board in there. She just said, if your staff are planning to come, this would probably be a good opportunity. And I forwarded to staff. I was on vacation when I did that.
And it conveniently says in here that the meeting wasn't posted.
Yeah, it was, and they said it wasn't posted.
And yet, somewhere
We could
here.
have gone because we didn't know it was, if it wasn't posted, how are we were gonna find out. Jackie didn't send us the message.
Mhm. And yes,
And she should have sent the message to all of us.
somewhere in this communication, it makes a comment about me illegally posting meetings. But yet the county commission can't post a meeting?
I didn't understand the part where you called other board members and badgered them into voting the way you wanted to vote.
Yeah.
How would anybody even know that? You didn't.
You didn't even have my right phone number for 2 years.
That's right, yeah.
So how could you call?
No, I think they have problems on the commissioner's side too.
But they don't have term limits, so.
Yeah, well, just a minute though. That's all I'm gonna say. Where's the letter that has there?
No, they can get
have
reelected
those
every.
I don't really care what their term limits are or what they're doing. I'm just
They're
upset.
not all honest.
I'm just upset the way it went
There's
down.
4 people listed here, and they're not all honest either.
Mhm.
Like I said, this has happened before.
Yes, it has. Okay, so we're up to the Warrensburg roof project.
So just an update on this,
I would like to speak with you. Okay. Do we have time for more public comments, or do you want to?
The county clerk would like to speak.
That's fine. Regarding,
The agenda.
What does the board say?
she needs to be answered and put on the agenda.
Okay.
Next time.
I'm sorry, but public comments are over, so it should be on the agenda next time. There's no more public comments, so let's go on to the agenda. Update on Warrensburg roof project.
Okay, so, last week, as I put in your packet, last week, the final inspection of, conducted by Roof Asset Management Services. So basically our engineer, project manager, Christian Othout. There was a detailed punch list provided to the contractor for completion. Once the contractor completes the punch list, then Christian Othout will sign off on final payment, and submit that to Trails. Somebody say something. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay, sorry. I thought somebody had something to say. So our support services manager, was out of the office and all of that. So I did get a little bit of an update, JR and Company is planning on coming out to complete the punch list next week. So hopefully that will finally be completed and we'll have the final payment request at the next meeting. Will you do that walkthrough with them with the punch list? Our support services, our facilities person does that. Yeah. They've already walked through it with them to create the punch list. And then they have.
You said facilities weren't familiar with a lot of these things, so.
Well, they made the punch list.
Right. They didn't make the punch list.
Right, I know.
Yeah. And so they did walk through with them when the punch list was created. And then JR and Company has to provide proof that these things have been done to our project manager.
Check in with you before they leave.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Jackie, did they have a form that they filled out on how it was to be paid, how this job was to be paid out? Did they present you with a, I guess I should have asked you this.
It was all in the contract that we signed. That
How it was to be paid out?
Yeah. So it kind of comes in payments. So I think we've had two payments.
They have to perform a percentage of the job.
Yes.
And they can only.
Bill, I know
Right,
the
they can only
formula.
bill.
Yeah.
But normally the end payment is higher than that. That's why.
According to our contract, that was the amount that we could hold back on this job. So it was a percentage, and that's what they're waiting on to get everything finished, just so that they can get that last final payment.
10%.
I don't remember. It might have been.
I should have asked you that before. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. It's a good question. I'm sure you weren't the only one that was.
But they are supposed to be this week and
Next week.
next week.
I think I just got that update yesterday afternoon, so they're looking at coming out next week.
All right, we'll have a discussion on the ADP project or the ADP system.
Well, I brought that up, and I think probably we had enough other things. I'd like to move that to the agenda next month. And we'll have more information that way as well.
Do we need a motion to table that, Doug?
Procedurally, that's the best thing to do so that it's clear that it's moving to your next agenda.
His bill's gonna be on. Like, next.
Well, he's got mouths to feed probably.
Okay, we have a motion to move the discussion on ADP to next month's agenda.
I make a motion to do so.
All right. Is there a
Second.
second? All right. Show of hand vote, please. Any opposed? All right. Discussion on homeless patron behavior at the Warrensburg branch.
Sandy asked me to add this to the agenda.
I can't remember all my questions. There was some reason we brought that up.
You
Well-
said in response to the special.
Oh, there was, to what?
The special meeting that, Tommy, where did that word come from? Scotty, had called and that you said you wanted on the agenda to discuss.
Well, I think part of it was that we had some library patrons that were not wanting to bring their children in. That they had been maybe.
That they're camped out all day.
They're in there all day long, and somebody was back in the children's, there was no place to sit. And so they went back and sat in the children's area to sit and read, and then they were asked to move because they didn't have a child with them in there. And, we have enough, they shouldn't usurp the whole territory.
But as far as that goes, we have to treat all patrons the
I
same.
understand that.
So, and I do, and I know you and I have talked about this, that maybe the staff could have offered to bring the chair out of the children's area so that they could have a seat. And I know I have talked to Jay about that, our branch manager there in Warrensburg, about that particular incident. Other people, because I know there have been several complaints about parents saying they didn't feel comfortable. And I just wonder if they've even been in the library here recently.
It is better.
It is a whole lot better. It's night and day from when I first came. And if I had a concern, I wouldn't have gotten rid of the public safety tech positions that we had hired. But things are, I mean, as far as I can tell, are completely under control, as far as they can be. I mean, we can't violate people's rights just because we perceive them to be homeless.
Well, but you say that staff is going by the new policy and things, but I've been in there and homeless have been sitting there like this. And to me, that's sleeping.
And and they have to see their eyes, they know. They have to see their eyes, they're all nodding their heads. and they're supposed to address that, and they do. But, you know, if you have somebody that's constantly doing that, it's a constant thing. So if they've addressed it, and I think they only address it once, and then they tell them the second time they have to leave for the day. So we have really cracked down on those policies and enforcing them.
I do know that the community center has been having problems too. Yeah. And they've had problems with theft and cars being broken into. Have we had any of that problem?
Not that I'm aware of.
I've had a few emails and several calls from mothers that would say the opposite. I can pass these out if you want, or we can move this to another time.
Just read them.
Dear Scotty Walker, my friend Mallory gave me your contact, so I want to say, first off, people are contacting me. I'm not out there searching for people to, so whatever comes up at the next commissioner meeting, I didn't do it. People are contacting me.
Unfortunately, people know where you're at.
My friend Mallory gave me your contact info so that I might share an experience with my children I had in the library. I have 3 children, ages 4, 9, and 11, and we used to come to the library for story time and other events for kids. We also like to use the tables in the kids area to do schoolwork as we are a homeschooling family. On one particular day, I was there with my 4-year-old for story time, and my 9 and 11-year-old were doing schoolwork at the table right near the restrooms by the children's area where I could see them. As story time finished up, I walked over to tell my older kids to pack up their stuff and get ready to go check out the books they selected. As they were packing up, a man started circling the table in a very predatory manner, like a wrestler circles a mat before launching at his opponent. I attempted to rush my kids to try to get out of the situation, but before I could, he lunged at my 9-year-old and stuck his finger in my son's ears and started mumbling aggressively at him. My son was terrified. I immediately yelled at him to stop. He apologized and walked off. Lots of families with toddlers were in the area and trying to leave story time. As we made our way out to the front counter to check out books, he followed us and immediately started harassing the young lady checking out her books for us, saying something is going to happen outside and you know what it is, in bold print. She was visibly shaken and another librarian came over to see what the commotion was. I told the librarian that he had just attacked my son in the children's area, sticking his finger in his ears. The librarian was immediately in action, calling him by name and telling him to get his stuff and leave the building. After he left, she told me that no one should ever be laying hands on kids and to let library staff know anytime something like that happens. The thing is, moms don't work like that. I'm not going to bring my kids back to see if it happens again. I'm not going to put them in an environment that has no safety protocols in place, but allows homeless people with varying mental health and addiction issues to freely wander the building. While I think it's very important for the homeless population to have somewhere to be indoors during the day, I hate that it is the library. There's no security guard, just a bunch of librarians trying to maintain some order to things beyond the scope of their jobs. Now, because of the homeless population's mistreatment of the facility, the bathrooms aren't even open near the kids area for the kids to use. I would love to be able to return to the library, but until my kids can do so without being touched by Dave, the inebriated homeless man, that's not happening. Please work with the city to find an alternative solution to the homeless population having a place to go during the day. Sincerely, Rebecca Williams. Dear Scotty Walker, Mallory Grauberger asked me to reach out to you regarding the reason why we have discontinued library story time on Tuesday mornings at the Warrensburg branch. This happened Tuesday, February 14th, and we haven't been back since. I haven't been to the library in several weeks because the last time I attended story time with my 4-year-old daughter, there was a gentleman staring at the children in the children's section the entire time. He was not with the child himself. I stood by the half-wall partition and stared at him for most of the time. It made me very uncomfortable, and he seemed completely unbothered by my mama bear vibe. I have been to the library to return books, and this same gentleman was there. Amber Wilbur. I've also received a call from Mallory Grauberger telling me a similar story. She obviously reached out to her fellow preschool moms to reach out to me. So there's where we're at.
Because maybe when they have story time or there are children in the children area, could maybe a couple of librarians go over there with them, or is that
Well,
something that happens?
I mean, when there's story time going on, there's at least.
There's at least.
I do story time in Warrensburg every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. We have between 28 and 35 students, and I'm back there, and another librarian comes back when we do crafts. If the gentleman may have been in the rocking chairs that are outside, but I scoot them away if they are looking in there. Like, for example,
Yeah, but
today.
I don't think she was there for story time. She was just in there with her children.
Okay, because like today, there was somebody that was coming in, and I immediately got him out of story time. So whether you are unsheltered, or you are Scotty Walker, or you're Carlin Phillips, or Carlin Dillon coming in without a child, you can't be in the children's area. Like, that's just a safety concern. Like, if I'm off hours, I don't go in the children's. If I'm just going to the library off hours, I don't go in the children's area unless I have my grandkids.
But you guys kind of control that. When you see someone come in with kids, you pay attention over there.
During story time and program. And I think we're going to move story time back to the programming room in the fall, so that shouldn't be an issue. But there are very, very few patrons that don't have children that hang out during story time.
I have heard a lot of complaints that when they take their children, small children, to story time, that when the children have to go to the bathroom, because that bathroom's locked, shut down, they have to go way around.
It's open during story time.
Is it open during story time?
We open the restrooms during story time and our children's programs that happen in the
Okay.
And they can come ask for a key at the other side.
Because of misuse, from what I understand, not just our unsheltered patrons, but like moms were stuffing diapers down the toilets and
Oh, that's fun.
too. So they're closed because the residential toilet is not commercial toilets, so they can't handle people stuffing things that aren't supposed to be stuffed in the toilet. So, as far as someone, like the first situation, I just started there in August. So I'm not aware of that situation. And just like I said today, there was a gentleman that wanted to come in story time because he thought he had left something in there, and I immediately got his little tail out. So they're not, yeah, they follow the rules or we ask them to leave. And that doesn't matter, I mean, it doesn't matter what type of patron you are. Like,
My understanding from what they described, story time is here and then those two tables, there's at least one or two tables there. And that's where the kids were working on. Maybe if it could be made more apparent that's part of the children's area, that might be helpful.
And we are looking at some things to do to change things around to help with some of that stuff. We just did assessing the branches, and that was part of that. And I know in the Jay's branch budget request, I know that a lot of it had to do because we know we need additional furniture. There's not enough seating where people feel like they're all taken up by the people that hang out there, and then there's no seating left. So we know we need some more seating, and then things like that, just kind of moving things around. We want to move some of the stacks to where one of our problem areas, it's no longer kind of out of sight, out of mind. Our stacks would be there, and then the opening would be up where it wouldn't be so private, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So that opening would be farther up and easier to monitor. So there's a lot of things that we're looking at to improve things.
Is it possible for the staff to reach out to these young families and say, hey, why don't you come back and see the improvements we've made? Or we could advertise that on our Facebook thing, just so that maybe they've been, this one here was, she hadn't been there since the February. So maybe she doesn't know. Maybe we're not communicating that things have improved. Is
And
that not possible?
We could certainly
I-
put something on Facebook.
I think I'm sure these people look at Facebook.
Well,
yeah.
And I'm hoping we're going into summer months that.
You know,
it
I want
won't-
the kids to
well,
be able to come in the
I guess they'll
summertime.
come in for the air conditioning. but, You know,
I would just like to see staff reach
I
out,
don't know what else they can do.
communicate to these preschool moms, whoever, and just say, listen, things have changed. Come back and check us out again.
And if you know, if you have some ideas for us, share.
maybe it should be like the, this is off the wall. Don't even take this seriously, okay? What if we were like the shelter, it's first come, first served? We have 25 chairs for homeless, and the first 25 that get in them, they get to stay, and the others have to leave.
They're be fighting.
Yeah. Probably so. Like I said, it's off the wall, you know?
Right.
I mean, I think that's wrong, but we can't violate their rights just because we think they're homeless.
No,
because
I'm not
we're
saying
offering
that. 25 chairs.
I'm not saying that. I don't think we offer just 25 chairs per.
They can bring their own.
I'm talking about for everybody though. We have to treat everybody the same.
Well, what I understand, and I've only been at Trail since August, a year.
I said, we're getting on to a year.
We're getting close, yes. And so I come from education, but I've only been there since August. Things have tremendously improved. What I understand from the other staff, like, the reason there is a lack of furniture is because over the years, like when things broke, they were just instructed to toss them, so we didn't fix things or replace things, we just tossed things. So I think that might be one reason why there is a lack of seating, if you will.
I think a lot of it got moved out too during COVID.
Yeah, I was gonna say COVID, it was moved out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because I wasn't there, but, and I know like a lot of the stuff we do have is pretty worn. But you do with what you have and you make that work. But I think, you know, people come in and we do have unsheltered folks that come in on the daily. We have gotten really good about, as a staff, since we got rid of we got our cameras, we, got rid of this public safety tech, but we are pretty consistent with their behavior. So you might walk in and see one like with their head down, but probably within the next few minutes, someone's gonna be telling them, you can't sleep in the library. And the second time, we have to tell them they can't sleep, they're out for the day. Or if they're smoking out front, we tell them one time, you can't smoke on library property, and then they're gone for the day. So word gets around that we're being consistent, and so they're gonna come in and follow the rules. And if they're not, they're gonna be gone.
I think there was also some issues with bed bug situations in some of the cloth furniture as well. And so some of that, yeah.
And headlights too, I think, or something like that.
Possibly, yes, any of those parasites.
I mean, I do admit the situation is better. You used to have to run a gauntlet to get in there. The smokers outside the door, and then all their junk pile thrown down on the floor, and
Well, if it's getting better, and I don't go to that library, but if it's getting better, we need to communicate it to the people.
to some of the people.
Yeah.
Has it been posted that we have cameras surveillance?
They're all aware, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they know.
Guys, it's been posted on the door.
I posted on Facebook.
It's been posted on the door.
I'm looking at the thing.
As far as I know, it hasn't been that.
Is somebody supposed to watch those cameras all the time? We don't have enough staff for somebody to sit there and watch them all the time, but they do look at them. Yesterday, there were some plenty there that they could have watched them. Yeah, and they do a lot. I mean, if they're not doing anything, they'll look up, or if they like went to talk to somebody, did they stop doing what we asked them to stop doing? If not, then they go back and tell them, okay, you didn't stop, you gotta leave. So.
Maybe we need some signs. Like they say, camera surveillance or something that they put on the doors.
No, I'm canceling that meeting.
Can we go on to
move on
something
to the
else?
next thing? Yeah. Okay, item H, update on the proposed rule from the Secretary of State.
Okay. What did I do with that?
So we've talked about this proposed rule couple of times, I think. So the most updated, forgive me, I have misplaced my papers here. Oh, thank you.
That's mine.
Thank you. So, and I did notice somebody pointed this out. So the part that's in italics that's bolded, that is from another library that they were preparing a document for their board. I printed the wrong document, but everything that's in between there, so if it says 1A, that is all the proposed rule. The rest of it is from a different library. So this is the version that is the wording, the latest wording as of the 17th, which was Monday. This did, it was approved. It goes into effect May, I believe the 18th. And then we would have until the end of July to be compliant. So the compliance pieces are due at the same time as our state aid certification. And this becomes part of that.
You said what, when does it go into effect?
It goes into effect May, I believe it's the 18th.
Okay. And we have to be in compliance by
July 31st. Thank you.
So does this mean we have to take out the self-checkout machines?
We are trying to figure out exactly what this means. From what we understand, the majority of it is going to be able to be taken care of with changes to policy or adding policies if we don't currently have them in place. I know NPLD, which is the Missouri Public Library Directors organization, they have a committee together working on behalf of all Missouri public libraries to come up with some sample policies that are compliant with the new rule that they would be able to share. So everybody's not recreating the wheel. We can take something and then make it edits and everything for our particular situation. So you'll hear more about this in May.
I'm assuming you're working on that.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Since the House voted not to fund public library, is there a place that we can go to, because I can't seem to find anything on the internet, see how each legislator voted?
There is a place on there. I would have to find it and look it up, and I can't tell you right off the top of my head is what I'm saying, but there is a place, because I know there's been some chatter on the MPLD listserv about, well, how did my person vote? And I know there is a way that you can go and look.
I want to know about all of them. I know some other ones from other counties, and I want to know.
Yep. So of course,
I want to talk to him again.
Right. And of course, now today, this afternoon, I got the news. Yes.
The Senate put the funds back. They still have to adjust, or it won't be voted on until next week, and that goes back to the House. But it was the House that took it out.
Was it the House took it out, or the Senate? Who put it up? The Senate or the House?
The House took it out, so they defunded that line for state aid. And then the Senate, it went to the Senate, and now the Senate has put that full amount back in for the state aid.
Do you know who proposed it to begin with?
Yes, it was Cody Smith, who was head of the House
chair,
Budget.
the committee chair.
The
House?
Yes, it was the House Budget Committee.
Cody
Smith is
yes.
head of the House Budget Committee. Republican Cody Smith.
Well, I assumed that. You didn't have to tell me that.
And 4 Democrat senators was the one that helped put the funding back in today.
Okay.
It'd be a good feather in his cap if he could get $4.5 million in the state budget.
We've got opportunity, a board of trustee training opportunity. I will say I did this many years ago, back in probably 2005.
Okay, sure. Yeah, just email me or let me know, and I'll get everybody signed up at one time. So
I did it before I was such an evil person.
What made you evil? Anybody else know that they want to sign up? You do? Okay, Carlin and Jane. Anybody else?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I'll wait until after you look, but I'll put your name.
Are they like a series of,
Yeah, they're online.
Yes, they're online. There's
like
there's
videos or
two
something?
different ones. There's the short tapes for trustees, and those are very short. And then there's the trustee academy, and I don't have experience with that, so I'm not sure how lengthy that one would be.
So you
You
guys
guys are
probably do
lucky.
it
I had to go to a
anytime.
place.
You're supposed to be on the.
Okay, thank you.
I had to go, I
We
had
have
to go
evolved.
to, I had to go to a place.
have to do it.
I think it's at your pace, yeah. Did you want to sit down as well?
It's just, yeah, it'll be done.
All right.
Okay, did I get everybody? I've got,
Yeah, I would, but since I'm only gonna be on the board another 2 months,
well, you can do it all the first month.
well, that wouldn't be effective.
You come back in 2 years.
That's right.
I'm sure it'll change again by then.
Anybody else? I have Carlin, Jane, Patty, Becky, Goldie. Did I miss anybody?
You didn't miss me. I don't want to do it right now.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. And if anybody else, just email me and I'll get you on the list.
and I know I have a thing, but when does it start?
I think you can do it at your own.
I think so.
You do it at your own.
Oh, okay.
They'll send, I think they send you an individual email, give you the site,
Okay.
do it at your own speed.
Next week is National Library Week. Any comments on that?
Just, what I had put in your packet, we are gonna participate in the Spirit Week like we did last time. It was great for morale and it was a lot of fun, so we are doing that again this year.
Apparently, we've got a grant for a part-time seasonal library clerk.
So this was part of that summer reading program grant. And so that was in there, so just letting you guys know, we'll be posting that for that position for 10 weeks.
Next up is closed session.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
All right.
And we would like Jackie to leave for a little while and then ask her to return.
All right, we have a motion to go.
What is it concerning? Because if it doesn't have to do with, I believe it said my tenure or my, salary, that I'm supposed to be in the meeting. That's in your bylaws. But does it have to do with my tenure here or my salary?
No, but never said that.
We're the board, and we drive them all around. Especially Scott.
Not everybody, just you and me and Ron. Yeah.
I don't, it doesn't matter to me. You can stay. I don't care.
I don't care. It doesn't make any difference.
Was there a second?
Oh, who voted?
I think Sandy made the motion. Yeah, because we gotta get everybody out and then Luke's gotta end his thing and then we can start. Yeah.
Who seconded it? Who seconded it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Call this second?
Sure.
Oh, second.
We have.
Well,
I thought we were done.
I didn't think we both like.
Oh, no, you're not. So we have to